Hello, everybody. Welcome to The Keep. All of us here are glad that you are joining us today. Thank you for coming with us on this adventure. We hope that our silly antics sort of provide a spot of sunshine in your day or a distraction of the chaos of the world around us. As we go through this, we continue to stand with those who have suffered from injustice and violence. It's been an ongoing problem in our country. If you want to help fight against this injustice, please remember to do the research, find a reputable organization, listen to the stories around you, and do what you can to help. Really, that's all we can do. So please, let's remember to evaluate our actions before we act, to be kind to each other, and to remember to love our neighbors. On that note, do we have any announcements, anything going on before we jump into the game today?
Happy birthday, Mom.
Missing a John today. He's
Happy
on
birthday,
vacation.
Jordan's mom.
We are missing a John today. Should be back next week?
Yeah, should be.
Good deal. Fingers crossed.
Hi to all the moms out there. Garrett's, Jordan's, Wesley's. Everybody's mom who's tuning in.
Oh, you know what? Yes, hello.
Without whom we would not be here.
Anyone who's
This
listened to
is
Lonely
true.
Island recently there. Anyway, I don't really have any.
Okay. So we're good. Let's go ahead on that to lower the bridge and raise the gate and enter the keep. Dun dun dun.
Blum, blum, blum.
I feel like we need a
When
gong.
last we need some sort of sound effect or noise or gong, something we can hit there.
Jordan, you have what we need.
Oh, God.
You know what I'm talking about.
Did I do it already?
No, you haven't.
Have it? Wait. Oh,
Again.
wait. Say it again.
Do it
I don't know
again.
if this is what you're talking about, but I think it might be. So
All right, let's lower the bridge and raise the gate because it is time to enter the keep.
nope.
That is what I was talking about.
Oh, yes. Just
Oh
yes.
my god.
Then the Kraken shows up.
Right?
I
Oh.
almost grabbed the nose flute instead, Wes.
No, we all know about the nose flute.
Anyway, sorry. Proceed.
Okay. When last we left our heroes, the 11th Hour had split, with Ryan Kazator going to the Tempest Shadow to meet the renowned bard Fiskin to try and get some information about the Underlord, while the rest of the group is taken to meet with Eska, the half-orc leader of the Edge in Whitebrand, who asks them to consider killing the Underlord and free her clan, one of a number of tribes and families that are under his control. After meeting with Eska, they ask to be led to an abandoned warehouse where they release and interrogate the assassin that they had abducted. This assassin, Kahir, reveals that the contract taken out on your group, the 11th Hour, seems to have originated with the Brotherhood, and the group debates the usefulness and morality of killing her. After Silyax leads her to believe that her entire group has been killed, Kahir takes the decision out of their hands and attempts suicide. And the 11th Hour reluctantly saves her and ultimately releases her after gaining a promise that none of her organization, known as the Whispers, will trouble them again.
Fight against the reluctantly part. We tried very hard to save her. We just didn't know what to do with her after we saved her.
Yeah, you used a whole spell slot to do it.
I was out of stuff. Okay.
Okay.
Not narrating.
So the group reunites and is led back to the Beggar's Banquet. On the way there, a discussion ensues about the state of Whitebrand and the widespread indebtedness of its citizens, with Silyax and Rai butting heads over the next appropriate action. During the night, Silyax is contacted by Sarai via Sending Spell, who tells him that powerful figures in Dragenthrone are getting nervous about Vanera and asks Silyax to consider returning to Dragenthrone. We will go ahead and pick up the next morning. So, everybody has taken a long rest.
Much.
Al, as you
I've got all my
awaken,
spells back.
you do have all your spells back. You, oh mighty fighter, you.
Yeah,
Val,
that joke never gets old.
how do you sleep? What position do you sleep in? How when you're waking up? Describe the situation to me.
Are they
Sleep at night.
specific?
In Big Spoon.
Do you sleep
Personal
naked?
question. Boxers, briefs, like what's the situation there?
You know, I put a lot of thought into my characters. How they sleep was not one of those.
Is now.
Starfish at an angle.
All curled up. How does Val
Um,
sleep?
He's probably a. Let's go with side sleeper.
Is he a little spoon or a big spoon?
Well, because
Person.
it depends on the person he's with. He's probably wearing like just a linen shirt, maybe some soft pants.
Okay. So as you're on your side, your head is slightly curled into the pillow, and you're waking yourself up, and you awake with an odd sensation. There's actually something in your hand as it's resting sort of in front of you. And you open your eyes and you look, and there's a tube of paper rolled and tied with a bright green ribbon.
Like,
Wait, you're in the same room as Doran and myself.
right. That's
Yeah.
why I'm like, what? All right, which one of you is leaving me love notes?
Sawyer sleeps naked.
It's
I
Gurky.
believe that.
Gurky has brought you letters.
This should not
Inside
be-
joke. Yeah, it's great.
We need another one shot so we can see the return of Gurky.
I love
He will be delighted to return.
All right.
So you have this
Be his
roll of
cousin,
paper tied with
Herky.
a green ribbon in your hand, Val. What do you do with it?
Is it like normal paper size rolled up, or is it like tiny?
No, it's fairly normal paper size, slightly larger than normal letter size paper even. As you feel
then,
it, it's fairly fine quality, but it's obviously a little travel worn.
Then I will sit up and
Right?
I swear
As
to God,
you
if this is
untie
an
the ribbon-
explosive glyph,
As
It's a
you
pitch
untie the
black.
ribbon, the ribbon disintegrates in your hand. It just
Oh.
vanishes into green sparkles. And you hear a voice echoing very quietly, as though from a great distance,
Got a howler.
Yeah, exactly.
saying, "A blessing for the road." And you unroll the papers, and before you are 3 maps, fairly high quality, prepared for you to look at them. And as you do inspect them, you see that one of them is very similar to a map you've already gained, one that you found in Cedar Grove and early in your travels here. Yes, and it is in fact a map of this continent, more detailed than anything you had previously seen. More cities are filled in, various bodies of water, things that had not been on the previous map that you had found.
cool. Just out of curiosity, did I recognize the voice?
As a matter of fact, you did. I'm not even going to make you roll for it. This is a very familiar voice to you. This was the voice of your father.
I was so hoping.
Oh
He's out of the
shoot!
trap.
Okay. All right, and the other maps?
The other 2 maps are only vaguely familiar to you. You've seen them before. You've been to these worlds on your travels with the Sanctum, as your journeys as a runner. And these are 2 other worlds that you know the Sanctum has been connected to before. This is the world of Vondera and the world of Illyria.
All right, so what do I know about these worlds?
Make a history check.
Vondera, that's the one where Casey's sister is, right?
Oh, she's not there, but yes, it's connected.
But that's the name of the world we got?
Yes.
I'm sorry, you said history?
History.
It's the party
19.
world where all the sweet parties happen.
19.
Everyone's just
Say what?
super cheap.
19.
19. You know that the keepers on Illyria are a very cute little couple, a halfling woman, a dwarven man, very friendly, retired adventurers who have settled and created an inn there, and they are sort of the anchors of their community. It's a very strong presence that the Sanctum has in this particular place in Illyria. And you know that they are based out of Harway, which is on the northern little continent there. Vondera, you know less about. You know the Sanctum has a presence there, that there have been other missions. You've only been once. Hold up, let me pull up my version of the map here. You know that the Sanctum's presence there is based out of let me look at my list here. My list doesn't help. There it is. The Sanctum's presence is based out of Port Onatha on the southern side of the island. And you know, this is a smaller map. This is the only one continent. There are 2 other continents on Vondera that the Sanctum has not sent representatives to.
All right. Do I have to worry about any? I'll send pictures to everybody. Look, full color.
Wow.
This is cool. Sorry,
At
Jay
about
is
this
geeking out
point-
more than Val is at the moment.
That's okay. At about this point, almost everybody else is starting to stir and wake up and get moving also.
So I'm in the room with you two, right?
Yep.
With you and Dora.
Mhm.
What up?
Well, I'm not entirely sure how,
Ow.
but it seems my father has left us a gift.
You said your father.
Yeah, it sounds weird to me too.
Yes, that's.
But it seems he's left a few maps.
Really, yeah.
And I'll hand over.
No, I recognize this one.
Wow.
There you go. That's what I was looking for.
Yeah.
Thank you, Garrett.
That was yeah. I gleaned as much as I could out of it.
Well,
It seems that there might be, not entirely sure what, but there might be some details here and can help us plan our future endeavors. That being said, he called it a gift for the road.
Well, you do know to be wary of gifts, yes?
That's why I mentioned it.
Few things are free. But let's go down to dinner. Perhaps we can see.
Wouldn't that be breakfast?
Oh, breakfast, yes. Yep, that one.
Early
The
morning.
days are kind of blurred together. But
Right. What were the other 2
Silhouettes.
maps? Yes.
It's okay. Finish what you think. And then before you go down to breakfast, or up to breakfast, I should say, since y'all are on the bottom
Okay.
floor.
What were the other
So
2 maps?
We in like a
the maps
basement?
Are to let the Sanctum has in her connections. You said both of which I've been to before?
You know of Vondera, you've been to Illyria.
Okay.
You've met Bell and Thorn, and you're familiar with the area around their inn. You've heard of Vondera, but you haven't been there.
I'm recognizing these names. The Wandering Wood. I recognize that. I remember that.
You
Who?
would, yes.
We were there.
The Wilding Wood, yeah.
Yeah, we were there. We we encountered Bellenthorn.
Yeah. Was that
I believe this is during our snake
Oh.
adventures.
Sneaky times.
But yeah, we have met these keepers. Yes, but
was I
Can't
there?
hear you,
Just out
bud.
of curiosity, was I there before or after they showed up?
You would have been there before.
Okay.
Yeah. Bellenthorn have a strong presence on their world, so it's one of the safest worlds connected to the Sanctum. It is often used as sort of a first run for various runners. So early in your days there, Lear and Tyrek would have taken you and introduced you, and probably one of your very first missions would have been on Illyria.
This was also one of the ones that you mentioned I saw before I left the Sanctum as a safe world,
Yes.
right as things were shutting down. Okay.
okay.
I relay all that to you guys.
But Valdera, though, this is
That one I'm not as familiar with. I've heard of, but I've never visited.
Casator have much interest in that map.
We're all there together.
We're heading to you. About to be, right?
About to be, yes. Slix, as you're getting ready in the morning, are you just getting dressed and getting yourself ready? Are you armoring up?
Oh,
Are
I
you
always
going over
armor up.
your okay, that's what I thought.
Part of
Make
my
a
morning
perception
routine
check
is
for me.
cleaning everything, polishing, getting
Yep.
everything squared away.
As you're going through and cleaning and polishing and getting everything ready, go ahead and make a perception check for me.
Wow, I see things. That was at 21.
Nice, you do see things. In fact, you see a couple of small spots of rust on your shield, right around the dragon's mouth, as though it is breathing fire. And it's weird. You're rubbing and you're polishing and you're trying to get it cleaned up, but it's not coming off.
Mending, that do anything?
It does not.
Hmm.
It seems to shrink it for just a brief moment, but then you look again and it's back exactly to how it was.
Interesting. All right.
It appeared around the time he said cruelty is sometimes necessary.
It's more like cruelty can be useful, I believe, were the exact words that he says. And that the ends justify the means.
Yeah.
I have a feeling that's coming back to bite you in the butt.
Oh, I don't know what you mean. The history of this world is quite evident that cruelty can be useful, obviously. Come on. Anyways, breakfast time.
Breakfast. So you head on up, you find the innkeeper and his son serving actually quite a spread.
Very nice. Is everyone else there, I'm assuming?
Everybody comes up.
Yep.
It's a couple hours after dawn at this point. It's getting into the morning. Y'all went to bed quite late last night. So you do head up to, everybody can gather up in the breakfast area, up in the main floor of the inn.
Okay, well, good morning, everybody. How are we all doing today?
Doing quite well. I don't know about the rest of you. I slept wonderfully.
Oh, I'm doing, fine. Well, fun fact, speaking of sleeping during the night, apparently I got a message from, Sarai, who said my presence was requested on Dragon Throne. So, if we have time, it might be good for me to pop in there before we take off. Something to do with the Oracle and her acceptance among the other high-ranking members there. Apparently, some high-ranking people don't like having an Oracle or something like that. So, that, if we have time, it would be nice if we could go, take care of that. Oh, fun fact, Val spoke to his father.
Well, not spoke entirely. More received the message. Apparently, last night / this morning was the day for messages.
Apparently.
Val, Your ability to send messages can extend across planes, is that right?
Very rarely, but yes.
I wonder, since he did not perish in the same way that most do, but was taken and went willingly, if he has more ability to communicate, maybe in a similar way to you. I even wonder if your spell could reach him.
Honestly, I've never tried. That is an intriguing thought. However, typically my abilities come from my deity. Although with him being under the care and employ of a deity himself, who knows what abilities
It's
he's picked up.
not so far to assume that he has not also learned such things. Might not be. I mean,
Oh God, a warlock cleric? That would be terrifying.
you communicating with... Well, I suppose you could try it if you felt so inclined.
Given our current standings in the city, it might be something we do while we travel.
Sure, yes. Speaking of traveling, we obviously have a Underlord we need to take care of. We seem to be fairly well equipped. I had a thought, though. I was wanting to bring by all of you clever individuals. Given what we know about this creature, it's mainly made of eyes. And what I know is things in my eyes hurt. So, have you ever been eating something real spicy and it makes you cry and your eyes close a little bit? Well, I had the thought of, what if we combined each person's expertise? We have Halberd with poisons, and you two can build things. And what if we combined all those and made some type of eye-hurting...
Are you wanting us to
projectile?
make a magic bomb?
Oh, wouldn't necessarily have to be magical. It could just be some type
Holy
of...
hand grenade, perhaps?
I'm thinking some type of
Just you gotta. It can
spicy,
only be counted to 3, not
spicy-driven,
5.
mass-produced spray of some kind that could affect his eyes.
Are you speaking of weaponizing spicy peppers?
That could work on a massive scale, of course.
If we could find a way
I'm just
to carry
imagining
it,
us like MacGyvering a claymore that just shoots, jalapenos in this thing's face. Just.
maybe finding a way
I'm
that
so on board.
things that
That's not in
irritate
character, but
the
damn.
eyes.
Irritants are good.
That could be carried in a small container that on our command could possibly release these over a wide area.
We just shower him with chopped onions.
We need him to close his eyes.
Can't see when they're watering that bad. Just saying.
These are all wonderful ideas. If you'll just give me 2 or 3 hours head start before you arrive, I think these are wonderful ideas. I just need to go in and get a small headpiece, and you do whatever it is you need to do.
Well, I mean, my thought is, as a avoidance, if communications fail and we are forced to come to blows with this creature, having some type of advantage in disabling him in some way could be beneficial.
Do you not also need to use your eyes to fight?
The goal is to keep it at least contained onto him.
Possibly wearing ocular protection.
Ooh, we could try to acquire some type of goggles or something along those lines, yes.
If only we had a smith or a tinker who might be able to create those for us.
Well, I think we happen to know a couple. At least one of them.
I love how we've been pissing around doing all these other random things, and now it's come to this. Let's
I love it.
do
I'm so
it.
happy.
I mean, I don't know, Dor and Case Tor, this is far beyond my skill house. Do you believe you could craft something that perhaps Halberd could put a eye irritant poison in.
I believe I could craft a bottle. Sure. Pulls out glass vials.
I mean, I'm not
Scoop
sure.
up, perhaps we scoop up the filings, the metal filings from my work, and
Is there
throw
somewhere we
that
could
in
make
his
it?
eye.
Thinking perhaps like a cloud that could envelop him.
I think that would be primarily on Halberd's end if he were to make a poison or an irritant that was in a gaseous form rather than a liquid one.
I could probably, making a mechanism to launch such a thing, I could probably do that, but making the chemical poison, whatever, that's not my wheelhouse. Do we?
Halberd knows things
Yeah,
about.
if he knows how
poison.
to make something like that, then.
Oh
kinda
yeah,
stuck.
mate, I know how to do that for sure.
Oh, God.
I can definitely take care of that
All right,
for you.
so
Oh
let's
wow.
make our fantasy tear gas.
2 to 3 hours. That's all I ask.
All right, is this something you'll want to try pursuing today, or is this something that you are wanting to tinker with or talk about or plan out?
Is there anything more we need to accomplish before we head off towards?
No, I've already written my will.
Is there anything else we need to do in town?
I need to visit the Temple of Ayun at least one more time.
Okay. Well, Doran, Halberd, how long would you think it would take for you to construct something of this?
Well, Halberd is still asleep.
And Garrett's not entirely sure what we're actually making yet.
Tear gas, holy hand
I
grenade.
don't know, 15 minutes, maybe 3 days. What are we actually trying to make?
Well, I mean, I don't know. I was thinking some type of mass form pepper spray.
Yeah, well, I mean, okay.
But I have no idea what that would look like or the delivery system or anything like that. That's where I'm leaning on
I'm
your
picturing
expertise.
did you ever hear about the black egg, that thing that like ninjas apparently had, where it was like an egg that was full of like shards of glass,
Yeah.
and they just chuck those at people? That's what I'm picturing,
is
like
that
something
something you
like
could
that. We just need
construct?
it to be glass so it just breaks.
I mean,
And
if you
the
construct such a
horribleness
thing,
getting in his eyes.
An idea
Hey.
to make something possibly feasible in the vein that you were speaking of, Sulyex. If Halberd could concoct some sort of either poison or irritant or something that we know would, with the intent to irritate and blind, if Doran could essentially create a metal tank to house it, I could possibly come up with a simple structure to hold the metal tank with some handles to wield this weapon. Before we go into the beholder, I can cast heat metal on the tank and pressurize the contents. That's concentration. I can hold that indefinitely. So it's just at our side if we need it, and there'd be some sort of releasing mechanism on the front of Doran's tank to release the contents.
and this is why I went to you, intelligent individuals.
I'm into it.
Lauren,
It's
DM,
a bitch.
question.
Yes.
How, taking into account both backstory and specialty, how much would Val know about aerosolizing irritants?
He would have experienced them. The process of actually developing them might be a little bit beyond him.
Okay. But he would understand the concept.
You would have gotten a very sort of immediate reminder in the day before when there was a explosion of what started as a liquid and quickly became a vapor. That was a toxic cloud that the one of the assassins had attempted to throw down onto the crowd around you.
This is totally where Solex got that idea from.
That's a good point.
That's the other option, is that if rather than putting a liquid in a tank and heating it, we could, if you could create it in vapor form, and we could compress it or cool it into a liquid state in the tank. Once it's released, it would become a gaseous form again in air temperature under atmospheric pressure.
I have an idea. I don't know if it's a good idea, but it is an idea nonetheless.
Well, we're right now brainstorming, so.
So we just released the leader of the group that makes a living.
The poison expert who made a living out of making clouds, yes.
I doubt overnight that she got very far.
Probably not.
Does kind of owe us.
Who's got
could
the-
convince her to sell us the blueprints of the mechanism they use to create their own toxic cloud.
Do you really think she'd be willing to discuss with us?
At least it'd be worth sending the message.
I'm gonna step in as DM and Halberd here real quick as he comes up to breakfast, and he jumps in and is like, "Oh yeah, I got these two items."
Halberd, you sound so
they're
different.
shaped kind of like grenades. This
He's been
I think that maybe I'm not even gonna try.
I really
I
want
think
you to
that
try your
maybe-
Australian accent,
It's so
please.
bad.
Good on, light. If you insist.
That's better than what I was about to do.
But he pulls out the two. I don't remember if he had them or if he put them in the bag of holding, but y'all did get two
No, he kept all the
made
poison.
like objects that are filled with a viscous fluid that he thinks might be some sort of toxic bomb.
Could you
Thing.
somehow
I don't
reverse
know.
engineer these?
Well, we need to reverse engineer these. As much as being able to just use what we have. It would save us a lot of time.
It would. I'm not sure.
Those
Kisator, can
crazy
you
masks.
identify what these are?
Who's got the mask?
You and me.
If they are magic, I don't know if my spell works on mundane items, for lack of a better term.
You're supposed to be a smart fellow.
Well, we could, if we sit here for 10 minutes, I could run a detect magic on them and see if they're magical in the first place.
Who's got the crazy mask? The one that I stole from the guy's face.
I think
You had one, and then
We're going to sit here for 10 minutes.
I've got one.
Halberd has the.
Maybe Halberd.
I think Halberd has the one Doran you took.
Yeah,
Okay, because
the one that came off the poison leader.
I think I need to try and make some more of those if we're going to make poison fart clouds and be near the poison fart clouds.
Well, if Halberd has it, he'll give it to you to study because I can't find his. He may not have it. I'm not seeing it anywhere.
One of us has the thing, so
Has at least one that you can study. I mean, if we want to sit here for 10 minutes while we continue to eat breakfast, I will ritually cast Detect Magic on the poisons and whatnot that Halberd has. And see if they pop up
All right, let's
Okay.
test
as magical.
that.
So you go ahead, and as you start setting up your ritual, you see Varlin, the 11, 12-year-old boy, who is the son of Soren, who owns this establishment. He comes not into directly line of sight, but you do see him very interested in just sort of watching you, paying attention to the situation. You go ahead and you complete the ritual, and there does not seem to be anything inherently magical about the little pouches, essentially, the grenades.
So none of the poison, even like the poison vials that we took off, those are just.
Oh, you're doing the poison vials too?
I figured I'd do it on anything, all the poison, because we didn't run any magic on the poisons at all. So I figured since I was doing a detect magic, it can pick up. identify. It just will let me know if there's magic within any of them.
The poisons themselves are not specifically magical, no.
Okay. It does appear that these are not magical, but more of a chemical compound that causes this. I've done all I can.
To the lab. Let's reverse engineer it.
Perhaps during your visit to the Temple of Ayun, Casator, you might find information that could help us in this endeavor.
You can certainly ask.
You seem to have a knack for finding research when it needs to be found.
Certainly.
Well, I suppose if you want to go take care of that, I have nothing else I need to do here in town. I'll aid Doran and Halbert and whatever they need me in constructing this
I think I'm gonna
delivery device.
I think while you're doing that, I'll find a local potion shop. See if there are anything we can pick up, stock up our trip.
Oh, that's the problem. You're muted. That's why I can't hear you.
You are...
As y'all are finishing breakfast and discussing what's to do, there is a young runner, about 12, 14-year-old girl dressed in the robes from the Temple of Ayun, who comes and sort of raps on the door of the beggar's banquet, a little bit out of breath. Her hair is pulled back, sweaty, sort of plastered on her face a little bit. But she gathers herself and she steps in and, "Excuse me, I'm looking for a Mr. Casator. I have a delivery for him," and she gestures towards her messenger bag.
I am Casator.
I am sent to deliver this to your hands. And she comes and she presents a scroll. Priestess Laneth apologizes that this is not the complete works, but it is the first part that she was able to find of one lay of Kolya. Do you accept it?
I do. Do you know if there will be continued search for the rest, or if this is all that is intended to be found for the time being?
We will continue searching the archives. This is the first part that was promised. I know Priestess Laneth did say she would bring it to you or send it to you quickly, she said. She told me to make all due speed.
I do appreciate it, and I shall be in touch with High Priestess Laneth in the days to come.
Very well. And she bows and hands it over. And go ahead and check your email for the first section of the Lay of Kolya.
Well,
I will look up and say, I no longer have a direct need to go to the Temple of Ayun. But if we want information on the Underlord, I could still swing by.
I know everything you're talking about, but Garrett doesn't quite remember. So what is this Lay of Kolya that you're speaking about?
Thanks for throwing me under the bus.
It is, oh my gosh, this is so amazing. I can't get Zoom back up now. Hold on.
It's okay, we can still see you.
I can see you, Wesley, because you're the one talking. Wait, this one? Yeah, there we go. Okay. Is Solyax asking that?
Oh yeah, she just said so. Yes, yeah. So, for Doran's sake.
This
I'm just staring at you like,
yeah.
Dare you, sir.
Here, have some meat.
All right, fine.
This is a tale of Kolya. Based on the world of Vondera, which is where the first of the 4-part binding spell is holding my sister.
Which we have a map for.
You have what?
He told you that. Did he not?
No, he told us he had a message from his father.
Oh.
He's holding it out. I am grabbing that. I am, yeah. You said he talked to his dad and he's like, no, I got a gift. And we're like, oh, cool. I was just waiting.
You could have moved on.
Right. We got a couple maps. One of them to Vondera.
Yeah, when he holds that up, I'm snatching that map.
I shot it to you in a text message.
Awesome. You said your father gave you this.
I woke up this morning and the 3 maps were tied in a ribbon, scroll form, in my hand. When I broke the seal and unraveled the ribbon, I heard his voice saying, "A gift for the road."
Guess we should also probably clarify this because maybe we didn't say this. The 3 maps are this world, Vondera, and the other world that we went to long ago that apparently is called Alira. But do you remember the Wilding Wood with the Bella and Thorn?
Bella and Thorn, yes.
Yes, that was their world. So we now have a map to the
And it's Illyria.
Who's holding the map of this world right now?
I am.
Alright, make a perception check for me real quick. Actually, what's your passive perception?
18.
Hmm?
18.
18? So you see this off the top of your head, where you see in the same places where Vondera and Illyria are marked on the other maps, you see this world is called Denagon.
Dead and gone?
You did not write that on here.
No, I didn't.
Spell
I'm
that?
letting you do that. Denagon. Denagon.
Point of curiosity. The war in the north. Which world was it on?
That was on Illyria.
That
It
was
was?
on
Okay.
Illyria.
Oh, but it'll be so
Damn,
happy.
$10 says that's worse.
No. His sister's not Illyria. His sister is Vondera.
My sister is on Vondera.
I thought that's where the spell was on Vondera.
That is correct. My sister, she herself is not on Vondera. The first part of the 4-part binding spell is on Vondera. This is what the book in the last. So
Okay.
there's a 4-part binding spell, and it's 4 books. Is that right, Lauren? There's 4 books.
Not books necessarily. Like the folio you got was sort of like a folder. There are a couple of pages bound within slightly thicker pages to keep them safe, but it's not.
But I mean, the 4 parts of the key. The 4 parts of the binding spell, rather. Are they books?
Right. They're not books.
They're also folios?
They're all folios, or you assume.
So what I
You've
found.
only experienced the one, but you do
Is that
you do
part of it, or
recognize.
was it-
Yeah, you got the first key.
Oh, I didn't even know that. I thought it was
Most
just
folios,
like the
first key.
information about it.
No, what you look in, you can see, and you would know this because of your experience, especially with Master Corian and studying arcane rubrics and spell descriptions and how they're written out on paper. You would see that this is part of a spell, part of a binding that holds her. And by finding the arcane rubrics, these 4 parts, you'll be able to then extrapolate the unbinding if you take it to
Magic is
your sister's location.
Wait, so this Lay of Coldra, which you just got, is the first part that you need?
No, the first
No.
part that I found was a folio locked in the restricted section of the library. It's called the Veritas Folio after my family. In the front of that was a letter from my father saying that the folio was only to be given for whom it was meant. I don't know who that was, since, again, I don't think my family wants me to find her.
So naturally you took it.
Of course. And so
Makes
that
sense.
is the first part of the 4-part binding spell.
Okay.
The second part is on Vondera. The book, there was a magic book that I asked questions to. I think I've told you all this. It said that on Vondera near Red Rock, there was a mountain, and in the mountain there was a cave, and the key was in the cave, guarded. Guardian, and the key is yours. I don't know
While
what-
all of this is happening, Rye is casually leaning over and taking the lay out of his hands and unrolling it and putting it back in his hands and then reading over his shoulder.
I was just about to say, if y'all want to know that.
Yeah,
I mean,
so what was that she sent? What is that?
he sent me was the Lay of Colia. The Lay of Colia talks about Vondera, because before this, I had no idea. I had not heard of Vondera. and
Red Rock.
perfect. That's exciting. So
You
near
sound
Red
so excited.
That's
says
his
near
panic
Red
voice.
Mountain. What did you say?
That's his panic.
So the Lay of Kolya talks about Vondera. And so this was my only lead to information on Vondera, except that, and I'll turn to Rai, your cousin, you said, had been there and was going to be giving you information. Has he said anything more?
Warren?
You haven't gotten any news from Steady yet. You did get a brief note from Oust last night in the journal, but nothing yet from Steady. He's still researching.
I haven't heard from him yet, darling, but never fail. Once I do, I will let you know.
Can we use, if we get the books, can we use the books to get to Vondera?
You mean the
You don't
book
know.
Sanctum?
Yes.
Would
don't know.
Rai or I know?
Ooh, that is a good question. Both of you make intelligence checks.
Yes.
How are we going to get there?
Oh my God.
Either the Sanctum has to be restored, or if we decide to go there beforehand, we might be able to convince Miss Rai to let us use the library.
Right. The library
Just a
has
straight
a
intelligence
connection
check.
there.
Just straight intelligence. We're
Straight
seeing how well
intelligence.
how fast your brain's working, how you're making connections between pieces of knowledge.
Apparently,
23.
I'm very into what I'm reading because that's a 9.
Okay, so no, Rai's not really paying attention. She's a bit distracted. What was Val's?
23.
23. You know that with the journals are restored to the Sanctum, the Sanctum will be able to reopen pathways between various worlds. It'll be able to stabilize those pathways, especially once it gets a partner bound to it for safe travel from one world to another. Before that, you can probably, you could probably go to the Sanctum now with what you've got. And open it up and be able to use the Sanctum to travel. You may not quite end up where you're hoping to go. The pathways may not be stabilized. Especially if you're trying to go to a world where a keeper is not anchoring it, it may be a little interesting. You don't know for sure one way or the other, but you don't think that's exactly the safest idea. With your Sanctum in a crisis mode, transport is very limited. Bringing the journals to restore it and then partnering it with someone is the best way that you know to stabilize it.
So if we were to go get this book from the Underlord, there's still a fourth one out there. Do we need the fourth one, or would 3 be enough to make a secure jump to Vondera?
The problem is not being able to jump to Vondera. It's the jumping from this world to another is extremely difficult under the best of circumstances. Using the Sanctum as a hub makes it significantly safer. Now we can do that. We can do that
But
now.
would 3 be enough to be able to do that safely, or
No.
would we need that fourth?
Val,
Huh?
you remember talking to Rissa. With the
Mhm.
3 that you've got, there have been 5 others that other teams have also collected at this point. So that would bring the total at the Sanctum up to 8. You know, that's not all of them. That's about a third-ish of what the Sanctum would normally have. But you know that every little bit helps.
But you're talking jumping directly from
No,
Pentagon
not
to-
necessarily. I'm not talking about going from here to Vondera. We can go via the Sanctum. I just want to make sure we can
We
do
could
it.
do that now. We don't need the other 2 books. But
What books
getting
we
the
have?
other 2 books does 2 things. 1, it makes the trip significantly safer.
Mm-hmm.
And 2, it stops the rifts from forming this world.
Right.
Because if the Brotherhood were to get a hold of those books, who knows what would happen.
All right. Well, task at hand. We know
Where one book
we
is.
know what one book is, and we are laying the foundation to get that. So, if we spend this day preparing, however that looks, be it constructing a irritant device launching thing, doing any last minute research we need to do, whatever, would spending this day doing such a thing be beneficial, or should we just take off and head north now?
It wouldn't hurt to at least try to reverse engineer one of these vials, and see at least if they can help us. That'll give me a chance to do some shopping and make a stop by the temple to finish what I started there. I can do that and be back by this evening.
You looking for health potions, that thing?
The health potions, any. I'm thinking more of the turn people from stone potions, because I can't do that yet.
Oh right. Yes, the anti-petrification. Yes.
Yes, that.
Well,
thing.
what if we did this? What if we left? What if I go with you? That way we can perhaps use what little party funds we have left to help purchase such things. You can stop by your temple. I can swing back by mine to see how the individual that I left there, see how he's faring. And then we'll spend this day doing whatever preparations, and then tomorrow morning we take off north. Any qualms with that?
Is there any circumstance in which we attempt to slay the Underlord for the edge if we can avoid it? Are we attempting to do this peacefully, or are we going in with the intent to fulfill that contract?
I believe the wisest course of action would be to do what we can to impress the Underlord and handle things peacefully. As much as it is within our... As important as it is to make friends, as Mr. Rod has mentioned multiple times, and as important as it is to do what we can for others, we need to be in the best shape possible when we encounter the Underlord. So avoiding fighting, avoiding the expenditure of spells until that point is our best course of action.
I think it would be beneficial if we went in there expecting a fight but not instigating. He has a book which we need. Now, if we can get hands on the book and get out peacefully, perhaps we do that, and then return another day to serve justice where it might be. But I think it's important that we all go in there prepared for a fight, in case negotiations go poorly.
And we can always try aggressive negotiations.
True. But in case we don't know what type of trinkets or treasures he has hoarded away, and in case this book is somewhere where we cannot just find it quickly, getting him to at least reveal its location before we do any active aggression, I believe would be beneficial. Attempts at diplomacy, if nothing more than a feint, can be useful.
I would agree.
Does that answer your question, Quesator?
I think so.
On that note, Dorn, I have a rather personal request. Do you still carry my father's sword?
Oh, I thought you said Jordan. I was very confused.
No, Doran. Sorry, I'll speak louder.
Okay. Thank you. I mean, I pull it out of my stuff and it's right here.
Would you mind if I took this with me?
Hey, go for it.
And I'll...
Offered to you before, but you didn't want it back then.
I'm thinking that this might be, as this is a God-touched item, that possibly it might be a negotiating tool. But I'd like to verify that before we try it. So I figured I'd take it to the temple and ask.
As far as I'm concerned, you've got more right to the sword than me.
Well, my father entrusted you with it, and I trust his judgment in that matter.
Aye, but I'm trying to be nice right now, man.
I greatly appreciate it. And so shall we head
Fantasy
that way?
fist bump.
Right, well, then let's get to it if you three don't mind starting whatever this project might turn into. The two of us will go on our shopping and research, but
Ryan,
Miss
you
Rye.
mentioned you might have access to ocular protection.
I had a thought about that.
What was your thought?
Well, first of all, wow, I turned into Jack Sparrow. As I mentioned before, frick, how does the dwarf sound? This is all in character. He's having a mental breakdown.
Coin's over here just bouncing between the personalities.
Yeah, it's like, what was it? Anyway, like I said before, if we're going to make this thing and make the gas cloud, we're going to need more of those masks. I was going to try and add, protection to the eyes as well. So that way we had all-round protection. So whoever has the mask will be needing it back.
I'll pull off the one that I took off of... Dadgummit, what was the poison leader person's name that we interrogated?
So we have two of those things?
Yes, we have two. We have Halberd has one.
Okay.
That's the one you ripped off the face.
Kahir.
Yeah.
Thank you. And I'll pull that one off and hand it to you.
I heard you, Jordan.
Cool.
I'm
I'm
Mr.
going
Jordan.
to start
Sorry.
looking at it and seeing if I understand what I'm looking at.
Is there anything you need to do today, Miss Rye?
I was actually, Lauren, in the message from Oust, was there anything specific, or was it just kind of like a general update?
He's impatient. He wants to know what's taking you so long.
Be a troll, though.
Otherwise, mostly typical general update. He's very curious about studying his research and...
Tell him to bugger off.
Rye, since you were reading the lay over Kaisertor's shoulder, I'm also sending it to you.
Oh, thank you.
Welcome.
I don't have anything specific, although I will say I have dawdled a little bit, and the library has more business for me than just this particular tiara, so I don't know how much longer I'll be able to just stay in town.
Well, hopefully we can solve this quickly. How long of a trip is it to the lair?
From where you're at, it's about 3 days.
3 days, okay. I thought it was sub-week. So, Rye, could you stick around for 4 days at least? Spend a day here.
I'm going to have to be here however long it takes to travel to there. It depends more on how much longer you're going to be in this particular city. I don't know that I can stay past this evening.
Well, if you could at least give us until tomorrow morning, we can all set off together.
Let's see how long your business takes, darling. You are putting together quite a few articles for this particular travel.
We could leave out today.
One thing to keep in mind if we're about to be setting off for the Beholder, as Rye and I were talking to Fisk, he said that finding the Beholder's lair is difficult and dangerous. Once you get within a certain distance, it seems, the paths become ever-changing. And he said that you can find a guide, someone in the employ of the Underlord, that could take you through the less dangerous path, perhaps, a more direct path, instead of wandering. He was very drunk, and I'm not entirely sure all of the specifics, but I don't know if it might be worth trying to find someone to guide us from the base of the mountain to his lair.
DM, remind me. Halbert and I found the entrance to the lair, right?
Yes.
So
Is
I
that where?
don't know how much stock to put into
Well,
this, but Halbert and I did find the location of the entrance of the lair.
Could you find it again?
I believe so.
Could Talbert, at least with his survival abilities?
Yes.
Was that the beginning of the higgledy wiggly stuff, or was that the big opening to his actual to meeting him? Because it didn't seem like you encountered any danger to get there.
I mean, we got flown over by a giant bird thing.
Yeah,
It was open
understanding.
into a cave, right? That's what I thought.
Hello, Governor. My name's Hubbard.
Oh God.
Today on Offensive Stereotypes, I'm Halberd.
Oh.
I'm really
Hey.
doing
Traded in my bow for a boomerang, eh?
Anyway,
moving
so
on.
we found the entrance to a cave. We saw many tracks going in and out. We were able to. There were several markings that indicated that the Underlord. So now, as far as getting in there, yeah, that wasn't happening.
Well, we know how to get in now. It was explained to us, but I think what Castor is pointing towards is there are two paths that you can take to get to the Underlord himself. You can go through his caves, as they would be, and fight a lot of delightful little underground creatures, or you can use a guide to get around some of that nonsense if he finds you entertaining in and of it yourself, which, how can someone not find this group entertaining? So it depends. If you really do want to get around not fighting as much to get to this particular Underlord, that might be something to explore.
Do we have any leads on a guide?
Wouldn't Eska know someone? Considering they want us to go kill him?
She might.
Or Fiskin.
Well,
We can
No,
get
Fiskin
sober.
will be of no use.
Well, we could, and this might sound rude, we could always take Fiskin with us.
No. No.
3 days is enough time to sober up, I would think.
You would not convince him to go with you in
I'm
the
sure
first
having
place.
survived this, he's probably not willing to return.
If we asked him outright, if we, Halberd were to ask him politely to jump into his pendant, or wait till he's unconscious and put him in the pendant regardless.
I don't think that kidnapping an individual, then releasing him, then convincing him to help us not get killed will be of any aid. If anything, he'll lead us more into a trap.
Really? You don't think that would be useful, darling?
They say cruelty is beneficial sometimes.
Not the impression I've gotten from you so far.
Anyway, regardless, I feel like we won't be able to find a guide until we get there.
Unless we can find one in town. There are people in servitude to the Underlord. Perhaps we could find a guide. But again, I don't know. I think Doran may have had the best guess of maybe Eska could know somebody.
Worth asking.
Perhaps while you two are creating the launching device, Halbert could go speak with his fellow rogue friend and see if she has any information that could help lead us towards a guide.
Yes, we definitely need Halbert to go do something.
He's got his own little like side story episode that just happens.
His
Adventures
quest
with
queue is
Halbert.
becoming quite extensive.
All right, so I think we have at least a starting plan.
All right, so you and I will go shopping and speak to some
Fantasy
temples.
tier, yeah.
You guys will attempt to build something. Do we want to send Halberd after Eska? Halberd, do you want to go after Eska? Or would you like that to be more of a group activity?
All right, I think we could do that.
Or does the building crew need Halberd here with his expertise? Do you need him yet?
That's
or
the point.
well, do they need him right now, or could he show up in the afternoon towards the later stages of the construction? Could he go
How
speak to her in
many
the
of
morning?
these bombs do we want to make, or tear gas grenades?
Just one, hopefully.
Or a water gun.
Yeah,
Also, I
but I
can-
mean, if there's time, maybe make
Also, I can
more than one.
contact Eska without us having to go anywhere.
That may be more useful. Let's do that. We'll leave Halberd here with you guys. The two of us will go speak to whoever. Miss Wright, you do whatever you do anyways.
Thank you.
Okay.
I
Ready,
suppose,
break.
I suppose that means
All hands in, go team!
Doran and I need to go to the general store for supplies first, if we're going to be crafting. The Golden Fox?
Where can go make? Where can workshop?
And Val and Solyax, if you're going to be looking for potions and chemical components, augury and alchemy is probably your best bet.
Okay.
Fair enough.
Augury and alchemy.
Need fantasy hardware store.
The general store is the Golden Fox. I don't know. I assume that would be the best place to go, Lauren. Or is there a best place?
Let's go shopping.
That's a safe bet.
Okay.
Depending on what exactly you're looking for. Let's
Sure.
go ahead and start with that. So Doran and Kazator,
Yeah,
you'll take just a minute here at the Beggar's Banquet to plan and let the DM know what exactly you're trying to accomplish.
yeah,
First thing,
because that's a conversation we need.
maybe we should split up the skill-based, what's going to be like minor tinkering that I can do versus what's going to be more heavy hauling stuff that you're going to be better at.
Well, and also Garrett doesn't fully understand what are we actually trying to make? Because I heard can that you heat up and it blows up, and I don't. Is that what we were going? Here, let me switch my cameras.
So if
Right,
we
we have a device already that we're trying to reverse engineer.
Yeah.
are we using, is that all we're using is just a cloud? Because we don't need
Well,
all three of us to do that.
well, did we actually take the little smoke bombs from her?
Yes.
Like,
we have
then,
You also have
vial.
almost
dude,
everything.
Yeah. And so we have, but
Oh.
I don't know how effective those are going to be. I thought we left, but I guess we're here again. I don't know how effective those are going to be against a creature, whatever size he is.
I think
So the concept is good, but I'm not sure how effective this exact thing will be in debilitating the beholder. I mean, there weren't necessarily eye irritants. It was a nuisance, but do beholders breathe?
Can beholders still use their magic even if their eye is irritated?
At least maybe have more difficulty aiming whatever they do. I mean, this is more sort of my thought of the eye irritant versus what we were facing, which is essentially a
right.
respiratory issue.
The largest burden on Halberd to be able to concoct some sort of irritant as opposed to a poison. And then if we're using the same delivery mechanism, then there's not really much that we need to figure out. I mean, Doran or one could just simply
make another one, but larger,
Exactly.
or assumingly larger
I think so.
for
Just
more
trying to
dingy
intimidate
fart clouds.
cloud. We're not doing anything sort of directed at it, but simply filling the room or the space with it.
Well, unless you guys think
It
of
makes an
something better.
AoE attack.
My first idea was more of an area, but if you can come up with something more direct, by all means, I'm deferring to your expertise in this matter.
Maybe we could do both. Maybe
If Howard focuses on
the chemical component.
the chemical aspect, and you two focus on a more direct approach, perhaps between the three of you, you could come up with a design that works, or two designs that work, for more direct and a more area for
What?
many beholders. We don't know. Does he have floating eye minions?
DM, would Val know what a beholder even looks like?
Yes.
Okay. Val's going to grab a piece of paper.
He grabs a napkin.
And grabs a napkin. And I'm going to draw a beholder. And around the beholder, I'm going to draw a cloud. And then at the bottom corner of the cloud, I'm going to draw some
Where'd you
stick
get those
figures.
crayons?
And in between the stick figures and the cloud, I'm going to draw what looks like a mini explosion. And then I'm going to hand that to those two and say, make this.
You get a
And then I'm gonna
performance
walk.
check?
And then I'm going to walk.
Yeah, please do make a performance check.
Fantasy crayons.
Performance or
performance
dexterity?
or would it be dex? Ask that where Lauren can hear.
Or intelligence for those.
Performance or sleight of hand, I'll let you pick. No, performance or sleight of hand.
No, yeah, that's sleight of hand. That's sleight of hand by a lot. Oh, nice. 17 plus 4.
21.
21. Because I can't math.
Ooh. You managed to put this all down, and somehow you managed to put shading on your stick figures. The explosion, there's the little puffs of smoke, and it's very vivid. You get the cross hatching to get the shading going, and it's it's quite lovely.
This belongs in a museum. He discovered the legendary secret forbidden technique, the stick figure shading.
All right, so you now have your concept art. The two of us are going shopping.
Val's already gone.
Okay, bye.
Okay, so
All right,
we want
y'all head out.
a fart
Case of
cloud
Doran.
and an explosion.
Okay, if Doran, if you want to work on the explosive idea, I think I'll concentrate on my concept of a tank, a spraying tank.
Okay.
And that way, we hopefully one of us can at least come out with something functional.
We're going to try, aren't we?
Like the more attempts we have, the better chance of success.
Yeah.
Okay, so
Who wants to go first and describe to me what you're making and the general things that you think you're going to need for it?
Do you have an idea? I'm still formulating my
all right, I'll go for it.
my brainchild here.
Okay, so I'm thinking, like I said, some sort. If I can just buy a prefabricated metal tank that's not too expensive, I'm thinking probably.
Man, we're going MacGyver this.
5 or 6 inches in diameter and 8 inches long, just a small cylinder that I can fill with Halberd's concoction. And then on the end of that would be a release mechanism, some like essentially it would be a stopper that's held by a spring against it. So it's actually on the inside. So this would probably be screwed on. So imagine a tank, but it's topless. It's just a cylinder with no top, and it's threaded. And then you have a lid that's going to go on it with a stopper that comes from the inside, so that the pressure of the tank is actually holding the stopper against the tank. And so when you pull the trigger, it actually pushes it inwards and releases the pressure. And then when you let go, this pushes the stopper back against it, if that makes sense.
This is what we get for letting the engineer do anything.
I think so.
So essentially, the idea would be to try to get where it's self-sealing so that it doesn't release all of it at once, but I could do multiple in case I miss or whatever. I could do, 3, 4, 5, whatever, however much that tank would hold.
Jordan, you're making up a tank deploys.
But yeah, and so it would be that tank design with essentially a wooden structure around it with some handles and a little wooden trigger that would have just a lever that would be able to push in that tip to release the pressure.
Okay, so that would definitely be doable. We're going to say it's probably going to cost 2 silver pieces to pick up everything you need for that.
Sweet.
We'll get to the actual shopping and what you get here in just a minute. Doran, what are you thinking?
Okay. I think I have an idea. Make this work.
Yeah,
That's
rocket.
terrible drawing, but I want to make little mini missiles that can be loaded. Shut up, don't judge me. I want to make little capsule missile things that I can load onto the crossbow and fire off. So the gross death juice inside like a thin metal tube. Like I'm thinking if I got pipe and I can have it sealed and I got little fins, so it like because I'm thinking in his brain he's thinking arrows, make it work like how an arrow do. And then I'm assuming they know how to make things explode with gunpowder, because mining and stuff. So have like a little blasting cap situation with powder in there, a little button that when it hits the target, the pin hits the thing and it makes it go boom. So pipe parts.
Would that be
Flying pipe
technically?
bomb.
Would that be considered a poison launched out of a crossbow?
Oh shit!
Is
Is that how to?
Sounds like you just got a
Essentially.
crossbow exactly built for that.
I'm realizing that my drawing is very phallic looking, and I deeply apologize.
Never apologize for the phallic drawing.
Don't apologize. Don't apologize.
It's very happy to see you all. I'm a bad person. I'm so sorry. I should be playing a different character. So, yeah, flying missiles. I don't know what that is. So I'm thinking I need like pipe, and then I need gunpowder, and I need the gross poison juice. Maybe a nail to use as the pin. Like I need to just go to Fantasy Home Depot and just get a bunch of crap to make my flying pipe bomb.
Garrett, I just
Essentially.
sent you a text. Do you
Yeah.
need it?
I'm gonna load metal shavings into the gunpowder too, just for fun.
Okay. Real quick, make an intelligence check for me.
Hurtful, but okay. Wait, is it Dorn or Garrett?
No. This one's Doran.
Very good sign.
This is just a check, right? Not a saving throw. Dang it. All right.
Just a
Well,
check.
I got a 9.
Okay.
The
Negative
bar doesn't want to
1.
inspire you or anything.
One thing to keep in mind,
Yeah, huh?
while you have seen various pieces of mining equipment that do cause explosions,
Yeah.
especially in your work,
Yeah.
you know you're not from this world. And as you have been on this world, you have not seen any of that in evidence. You think that
Okay.
maybe different worlds might have different levels of technology available to them. So you can keep that in mind as you're going shopping.
All right. I can tweak this. The mini missile can change. I got ideas. None of them good. Oh. Okay. Yeah. Okay.
Garrett,
What?
is this color red?
Huh?
Is the color of this? I don't know. Would you call it a rocket? Would you call it maybe?
No.
Thank you. I'll see myself out.
Celiax, when did you get here? Anyway.
That was the voice of something else.
Yeah,
Chen
yeah.
floated through.
Okay. How about that
Voice
it's
of Chen. is real.
glass, so when it impacts and there's a pin that hits the target, so the pin breaks the glass and the piss goo goes everywhere that way. That's a terrible sentence.
Brilliant.
It is a terrible sentence, but you think it is probably more
Glass would
likely
break.
to succeed. It's less complex and
less
probably
to-
significantly cheaper
I
to
need
get the
about
materials for.
several glass vials and some little chunks of metal.
Let me
We
pull up
did it. We
my...
somehow got there. It's 1,000 terrible ideas, and then you get one good. That's how I sleep at night. Just tell myself that.
Okay.
I imagine there's
Looking on my list for
people who
vials.
do like alchemy and potions. They have like all the crazy glass tubes and weird swirly things. So I could probably find a tube shaped like a crossbow bolt.
Doran, I believe the challenge might be to fire off a glass arrow.
Yeah, well, I thought about that.
Okay, good.
Make like a sabot, like those. I forget what kind of projectile it is, but it's like a shell that goes around it and just deploys away, so the actual projectile can fly out. Anyway.
Okay.
So
you'll head to the Golden Fox, and Kazator, your ingredients, I suppose, your materials are going to cost you about 2 silver pieces.
Okay.
Doran,
yes.
you can get most of what you need, but the proprietor at the Golden Fox sends you to the glass blower to get the vials specifically made. Everything else will cost you about 15 copper, so 1.5 silver. The glass vials are going to be the most expensive part. And the vials, the glass pieces are going to be custom made. They'll take about 2 hours, and it's going to be a gold piece each. So however many you want.
I got money to burn. Let's have 5 of them. I want enough ammo to poke this thing in the eye several times.
Smart boy.
Okay. So you go ahead. It is approaching noon at this point. You have gotten your ingredients. We'll go ahead and we'll pause with y'all right before you begin your crafting, wherever you are choosing to do that. And we will jump on over to Solyax and Val.
Just so I can be fair, how much gold do I need to mark off? Because I only have gold pieces. So it was 5 for the tubes, and then
5 for the gold. Mark off another gold, but add 8 silver and 5 copper to your inventory. So you basically broke a gold piece.
Okay, thank you.
Lauren, I'm probably just going to hang out with Kazator and Doran and find some place to sit down and start reading my tome.
Okay. Good deal. We'll go ahead and we'll get you started on that.
Confused.
You heard of palm reading? She's into the toe readings.
Yes, it's a specialty with tieflings.
Yeah. All right, so we need to go to the alchemist
Yes.
and get some unpetrification, healings, some other stuff.
Yes.
We do that. We go find the
You head to Algorian Alchemy, which is the store here in town. It is manned by Lina, who's a human woman, mid-30s, golden skin. Her dark hair is pulled back in elaborate braids. She greets you politely and asks what you're looking for.
Well, we are in search of healing potions, first of all. We are about to go on an adventure. Also, do you have things that guard against or can cure petrification?
I'm looking that up real quick. The
This old thing. It's Val, is there anything else that this thing can provide us any protection from?
Yay for magic potion lists. Well, let me look at my inventory for just a moment, and I will have an answer for you as quick as I can. While I'm looking, is there anything else that I might be able to help you with?
If you have any potions that work well against more necrotic damage, that would be also lovely. Something I can remember.
Well, I do have a potion of resistance. It can be attuned to necrotic damage if you know some spellcaster who's willing to provide you with a crystal to charge the potion in that way.
Crystal? What kind of
A
crystal?
particular type of crystal.
Oh yes, an arcane crystal. For potion, I have two that I might be able to part with. She turns from her ledger real quick to go to a drawer, and she pulls out a very small, sort of milky quartz-like crystal, about the size of a pinhead. So these are useful in the potions if I'm attuning them to a specific magic or elemental type. There are some that are more valuable and larger that can be used to enchant, or as part of the enchanting process, to create various other items and armors, things of that nature. This one will cost you... She looks you up and down. I can give it to you for 100 gold pieces. So if you can...
These are specific for potions, yes?
Specific for a potion, yes.
So just your understanding, if I were to want resistance against fire, I would imbue this with fire, put it in a potion, drink the potion, and then would gain at least temporary resistance to fire?
Potions of resistance, yes, or some other various potions of more where are the words? A few potions can be charged to resist specific damages or cause specific damages if that is more what you're looking for. And these crystals are very important in the creation of these potions.
It sounds exactly what we're looking for.
Right.
So for like all fantasy shops that are just like, yeah, totally. Here, just buy this weapon, this deadly thing. Go out, have fun.
The two of these, and then the potion of resistance itself, we would also need. So we would need 2 potions. Yes.
5. Yes. If
how much would those cost?
300 gold pieces each. So all told, 800 gold.
Now, out of curiosity, if we were to drink a potion of resistance without one of these crystals put into it, what would that do?
Well, the potion of resistance at that point would be inert. Every potion of resistance that is created is attuned to some sort of damage.
Okay.
Let me make sure I'm actually saying this correctly. Yep. If you find a masterwork potion of resistance, one made by a very skilled artisan, it is entirely possible to create an untuned resistance and gain resistance to an element or some type of poison or force or even the sun, some sort of radiant damage there, randomly. But to specifically choose, the resistance, it must be attuned to with a crystal such as this.
Now, what about the petrification?
Right. The petrification and healing potions specifically.
Oh, healing potions. I have plenty of common healing potions. 50 gold pieces each there. She looks at her stock. I've got 4 of those in stock. Unfortunately, I don't seem to have anything specifically for anti-petrification. However, I do have a recipe. If you could bring me a cockatrice feather, harvested within the last 24 hours, or perhaps some basilisk stomach acid, I could craft you one.
Well, unfortunately, time is not our ally. But you said you had 4 healing potions, yes?
Yes.
We'll definitely take those. I'm not sure if a potion of necrotic resistance, with only 2 of them, it'll be a shot in the dark as to who gets it. And we don't have that much. I think money may be better served elsewhere.
You're probably right.
But we will definitely take the 2. It's just the 4 common. You don't have anything of greater or anything of that note, do you?
I do have 1 greater.
What
It'll
would
be
be
150 gold pieces.
150. So a total of 350 for all of the health potions.
That would be correct.
Excellent. We will take those off of your hands for sure. But quite beneficial. Also, do you happen to know of a jeweler around here? I come across some jewels and some jewelry that I would love to have priced out.
If you're wanting appraisals, the Golden Fox is certainly capable of that. If you're wanting to purchase, there are a few who run a small side business. A pair of brothers up the way. I could send you their direction.
I'm looking more for appraisals. I have the items. I'm curious as to what they're worth.
Well, the Golden Fox is going to do appraisals for the best price. Let's see.
I hand her the gold, by the way, and take the potions.
Okay. So you go ahead and you get those.
Yeah.
Silanth, up the way. He's going to charge out the nose for the appraisals. But at the Golden Fox, I did not write it down here. Okay, did I tell you all the proprietor for the Golden Fox? I don't have that in my notes today.
Not that I know of.
All right. I remember Human Man. I have that. I don't have his name. I will get you his name. You know what? We will go ahead and we will just say it is Darden up at the Golden Fox. His eye is going to be probably the keenest, and he will definitely have the best price for a straight appraisal.
Excellent. Well, thank you for your time and your commerce. Greatly appreciated. We will head to the Golden Fox.
Oh, my pleasure.
So
you have an excellent day.
You? I'm going to go get Kahir's jewelry appraised. If you wish to tag along, you can, or you could head towards the.
I think for the sanctity of time, I'll part ways with you here, and
that works.
We'll meet back at wherever the.
Do you need one of these potions?
No, I'm good at the moment.
Okay, because I have quite a few in the bag, so if you need one, you can.
Yeah, I think we're good.
Okay. Do you only have one regular? That's it?
Yeah, but I also am a healer.
True.
I am a walking health potion.
You're right. I am a walking health potion, and I am a walking health potion. Right, well then I will go to the Golden Fox, and you will go deal with whatever you have to deal with. So I'm going to go get these things. I'm going to go get Kahir stuff and jewelry appraised.
Okay. As you get to go back to the Golden Fox, you do see, and seeing it back to back, you can see it fairly clearly now. Darden also has golden skin with dark hair that is braided low to his neck. There's definitely a strong familial resemblance between him and Lina over at Algorian Alchemy.
Naturally.
You get the sense that there's some desire to keep business in the family as much as possible.
Of course. Hello there. What did you say her name was? Learden?
Lina at
Lina?
at Algorian Alchemy.
Yeah, Lina. Hello there. Lina from Algorian Alchemy sent me over here telling me that you do the best appraisals on jewelry for the finest price.
Oh, certainly we do. I can appraise any of your jewelry. It will be 5 gold pieces per 3 pieces I appraise.
Excellent. Well, I will hand her. I don't know how much jewelry is here. So however many pieces?
6 pieces.
6? Okay.
It'll be 10 gold to appraise them.
Okay.
And it is about 1,500 gold pieces worth of jewelry. She points out the quality of stone contained within the necklace and the fine metalwork, and it's true silver. You see even some of the tarnishing here. And look at this ring, and she points out where what you had thought was a brass is actually a very dark gold. And she says, no, this is very uncommon. This is from the southern continent, brought here, and it's rare to see a piece even like this in these lands. It's quite valuable, very nice on the market. If you're willing, I'll take it off your hands for a very fair price.
Oh, what would you give me for such fine collections? You see, I myself am a fond proponent of fine jewelry, and I'm loving getting this opinion of yours here. What would you say would be a fine price for all of these?
For all of these together, and she sort of looks it up and down, I'll say 1,500 gold pieces.
1,500 for all of them?
To the right buyer, yes. Now, I'd be willing to give you 1,500 for the entire set, you understand.
Right.
Or, and she picks up that dark golden ring, I'd give you 800 just for this ring. If you're willing to part with it. No pressure, of course. Take your time, consider it. It's a lot of money, I understand.
Can I do an insight check to see if these are actual, like, factual prices, or if she's trying to, like, gouge me?
Yeah, go ahead and make an insight check.
I'm good at insight, right? Hopefully? Okay, yeah. 19.
19. You get the sense that these are valuable, and you could probably get 1,500 gold for it pretty easily, and to the right buyer, it might be worth even more. 800 gold, especially for the ring, seems like a fairly fair price. It's obviously the most valuable piece within the set here, especially this far north in this location.
Price of convenience. Well, for 1,500, I believe the lot is fair. So I will give you.
Wonderful. It's a pleasure to do business with you.
Thank you. And I will grab the 1,500, count it out appropriately, ensure that it's all there, and then I will put that in one of my many coin purses and put that in the bag.
Certainly. You've got it.
I feel like I had something else. Just since I happen to be here, do you have anything interesting for sale?
It depends on what you mean by interesting.
Oh,
and at this point, you do hear Kizator and Doran talking about the sorts of ingredients and materials that they'll need as they're shopping and doing their deal also.
What's up, boo?
Oh, you too. Oh, question for you in just a moment. Oh, interesting. Something
Well,
unusual.
Darden sort of looks around. If you want unusual, we did just get these mushrooms in. They're supposed to be quite interesting. Now, I wouldn't offer this deal to just anyone, you understand.
Of course
But
not.
you are obviously a man of discerning taste, and
They make you
seem
tall.
like the type. He might enjoy a little variety in his life.
How much might these happen to be?
Fantasy drug deal.
I'll give you 25 gold for a dose.
And they see him in his arbiter uniform, right?
It's like,
Oh, yes.
Apparently the first taste isn't free.
I'll take 2 doses.
2 doses, very well.
Excellent.
And he sort of goes and rustles around behind the counter and brings you 2 small pouches. You now have mushrooms.
Perfect. Thank you. I can think of a great use for these.
Sneak him into the horse food.
Can I do an insight check to see if these are actually like they're just regular old mushrooms, or if he's like, what's going on with these?
Go ahead and make an insight check.
All the inside checks.
Right? Listen. Oh, that was good. 22.
22. As Darden is talking about these mushrooms, it's definitely hush-hush. His body language is more closed off, and his voice is definitely lowered. He seems quite intent on making a deal, and he seems honest in the vague description that you got.
Excellent. So these are shrooms. I'm excited. All right. Well, I see my friends are over there. I will go see how they are doing. Thank you so much for everything.
Oh, you're very welcome. Do come back.
Oh, I plan to. Quesator, Doran.
Hello.
We didn't pick up any petrification. However, did manage to grab a few extra health potions. Do you need some? I picked a few more, and so if you would like an extra one.
I have 2 basic.
Would you like a third, or are you satisfied?
I'll take a third if we have enough for me to have
yeah,
another one.
absolutely. Here is a third.
Shots.
I have.
We're back.
Where's my healing potion? One. I have 1 common and 1 greater.
You want any more, or are you satisfied with that?
I think that should be fine with me, especially since I have the ability to heal. My potions are often to be given to someone anyways.
All right, well, we have more in the bag if needed. How are the preparations going?
I have found everything that I need.
I believe my plan will be of use and will work.
Excellent. I did
Fingers
manage
crossed.
to sell the jewelry from Kahir, so now the party funds are not completely empty. We have something, which is nice. I will continue on my journey unless you all need anything more from me. I will meet you.
I can't be
at
thinking
the
of
house.
anything.
All right, well, best of luck. I'll see you in a bit.
Aye.
And then I'll take off for the Temple of Bahamut.
Okay. Val, you had split off a little bit ago. What are you doing?
I'm going to head to the Temple of the Traveler.
All right.
So glad
You
John's not
head-
here right now.
You
No,
head
but a shiver
into
is running
the-
down his spine.
Oh, yes, of course. All right. You head into the old quarter, and you're walking paths very close to where you were attacked the day before.
Yeah, my guard
do
is
manage-
super up, just so you know.
This is getting into the hottest part of the day, probably starting to get into
still,
1,
right?
2 o'clock. So what?
Aren't we in like a desert or something still?
Yeah.
Yes.
Desert town?
Yes, you are.
Cold at night, hot during the day.
Yeah, I'm gonna
Yep.
pull my hood over. As a matter of fact, is there like a nearby alleyway or anything? Where am I?
Yes, actually. There you can go ahead and duck into a little side street, dark alleyway.
To switch my
Fantasy acrobat.
outfit,
Just
my magical shifting outfit, to thinking I'm gonna visualize the clothing when I summoned Korra, what he was wearing, and I'm gonna shift my armor
Okay.
to look like that.
Okay. So you shift your appearance of the armor to this undyed linen top, these leggings, the green sort of capelet with the hood over the face, and you start heading towards the Temple of the Traveler. You get to the arched doorway that you had gone in previously. You go in. It is deserted. You see inscribed on the floor is another different maze. The pattern has changed.
All right, I'll start going through.
Right.
I may regret
You
this.
start going through the maze, and you come upon different stations. And the first station you come to asks you to pause and to sort of meditate on the paths where your path has intersected with others and the impact that you have had on others around you. Go ahead and roll a religion check for me.
That's a natural 20 for a... Sorry. 26.
26. Very nice. So you go, and as you have this meditative moment, you get the sense that there's someone nearby. You look around, you're a perceptive fellow. You don't see anyone, but you can't shake the feeling that there's someone nearby. You continue on into the maze, and you come to the next station. And it is a there's a little plaque, handwritten, drawn out, that asks you to sort of illustrate what your journeys have meant to you. You can sort of flip back through previous pages if you want and see what other people have done. The pages ahead of you are still blank and ready to be filled. What do you do?
So it asked me to illustrate where I've been.
Where you've been, what your journeys have meant to you. It's kind of up to you.
Oh, this is intriguing. Okay. I'm going to draw the symbol of the traveler, the archway with the path, in the center top of the page. Below it, I'll draw the symbol of Sayonine. And then using the sword that I got from Doran as kind of a visual reference. I'll draw that on the left side. On the right side, I'll draw my own scimitar. And in the middle, I'll draw a cloaked figure. And under that, I will write Cora.
Okay. Roll religion for me again.
Back-to-back nat 20s. 26.
Another 26.
He's haunted.
Okay.
He's a witch.
This presence, you feel very strong. As you leave this station, there is almost a sensation of a warm chuckle, and the smell of mint fills the air.
Fresh.
You go along, walking through the maze some more. You come to what is the last station set up, and this is close to the center of the room. And there are various piles of dirt and various small little cups of water. You look and you can see each little pile of dirt. There's a piece of parchment that is marked with a name, and most of the names mean nothing to you, but some of them you recognize. Grimhold, Cedar Grove, Stillwater, Longview. You get the sense that these are from various places that people have brought here or that have been collected here. The little cups of water are likewise labeled. You find one, again, marked from Stillwater. You find one marked Oskay Sea, another the Caprian Sea, Keanu Bay.
Intriguing.
Keanu?
Does the plaque say anything?
There is no plaque here at this one. This is just the little piles of earth and the little cups of water set up.
Add another little cup of water, write Valtana on it, and just spit in it.
I will. What type of floor are we on? Are we on a dirt floor or are we on a
dirt floor? It's hard packed dirt, but it's dirt.
Oh, this might go badly, but what the heck? Okay. I'm going. How big are the piles of dirt?
They're fairly small.
Could I take a pinch from one without like destroying it?
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to take a pinch. How many of them are there? Sorry.
About a dozen.
Oh, this is just even better. So I'm going to take a pinch from each pile, and I'm going to lay down a little piece of parchment. And on that, I'm going to use the pinches to draw the tree design of the sanctum.
Huh. Okay. Roll me a sleight of hand check. Let's see how well this comes out.
Okay, that's not bad. 18.
18. Nice. So you create it, and you're very careful when you're taking the earth from the little piles and moving them around and forming them and twisting them into this shape. And it is actually very clear, the symbol that you're looking for. You've seen it, you've worn it, you know this symbol. And so you're able to reproduce it very faithfully. Go ahead and make me one more religion check.
If I get a nat 20 on this one, I'm gonna laugh so hard. Nah. Not bad, but 21.
Nice. All right. So as you finish the symbol of the sanctum, and as you're drawing, the smell of mint increases, and suddenly it's invigorating, it's energizing, it's almost so strong it almost burns your nose. There's a brief moment as this sort of sense of being watched just overwhelms you, and then there's a brief breath on the back of your neck.
That's not concerning at all.
I won't turn around because I haven't finished the ritual yet. I'll put. I'm assuming there are cups nearby.
There are. There are about there's a little stack of like 3 or 4 empty cups that are set sort of to the back.
Okay. I'll take one of those empty cups, and I will take my dagger and prick my finger.
Okay.
And I'll drop a little bit of blood in the water, or blood in the cup.
Okay.
I will take a little bit of water from each of the cups, also pour that in my cup, and then you mix that together, and then use my finger to write on the parchment VAL.
All right, go ahead and take 1 point of piercing damage.
Oh. Okay, it's on my piercing.
You complete this station, and you know this is the last station that's set up. The rest of the maze is sort of a meditation as you prepare to leave and to walk out, and you feel this presence behind you, and a voice fills the air. You are fascinating, aren't you?
I try very hard to be.
You seem like you're trying to get my attention. You have it.
We'll see how long I can keep it. And I'll pull out the blade. This belonged to your servant.
It did.
The path before us is fraught with danger and peril, as any good path should be.
As any good path should be. It will grow you if you survive it.
I'd like to increase my chances of surviving that, if I may.
And what would you like me to do about that?
I understand.
Ask what you have come to ask.
I understand that this sword held the powers that my father used during his journeys. As we move forward, I'm currently under the protection and favor of the Lady Sani. But I also know that there's only one thing better than having a god on your side, and that's having two. My companion, Soyex, has the blessings of Bahamut.
Y'all hear that? That's Jonathan freaking out right now. Somewhere in the distance, Jonathan's losing his mind.
So I can likewise conclude that having a third god, one more intricately involved in our realm, might be to our benefit.
It is true that I am more active than most others. But
that being said, I will not abandon my lady. My question is there a way to reactivate even a hint of the deitic powers of this blade? Something to make it interesting to the foe we face soon.
The powers of this blade are but a symbol of the bond your father had with me. To reactivate its power, I need another bond. Are you willing to swear yourself to me? Not instead of your lady, but perhaps in addition to. You wander so far.
Deities.
This is of interest to me. I could very well take you under my wing.
I'm familiar with the path of the Claire. What kind of bond would we have?
Well, that is up to you. Choose to serve me as you do your lady, and I can, well, make that work. If you wish something a little bit more legal, we can make a pact. If you choose to be my champion, and to take up the sword and fight in my name, to journey across various places, we could walk that path together. What do you want it to look like?
Being a cleric is all I've ever known. It gives me purpose. It gives me a reason to move forward. It's not something that is so common that anyone could do this. I owe my lady too much to swear fealty to another. She found me when I was destitute, when I was dying, and lost on a strange realm. Some reason I interested her, as I seem to do with deities these days.
You are an interesting one.
I know that my father made a bargain with you that bound the souls of his descendants through the spirit that we inherit. I'm not entirely sure if swearing fealty to another would lose me the favor of my lady.
It seems that may be something you need to ask your lady about. But you do seem to labor under a misapprehension. It was not your father that swore to me, but Tana. The quarry travels with you.
That's interesting. So my father labored as your servant due to the spirit that dwelled in him.
Indeed.
Intriguing.
It was his walking upon this path that gave him the power to survive until it no longer did. He started trying to break from me, to turn from me, and alas, I could not save his mortal body. He serves me in other ways now.
That's fair. And apparently delivers gifts.
I do like giving a good gift.
So the stories go. I will commune with my lady and make my decision before we depart. I appreciate your interest, and I hope to make I hope to make my father proud.
Go and speak with your lady. I will be here when you return. And
Go ahead.
with that, the sensation of someone behind you releases. There's a brief feeling of a breeze that seems to sweep away the scent of mint that had filled the space. You realize the temperature had been ever so slightly cooler, and now this strong heat back in the middle of the day seems to take sway again. You get a small drip of sweat that starts beating up and falling down the side of your face as you turn and start preparing to leave.
I'll make my way to the Temple of Sanides nearby, right?
Fairly, yes.
Yeah. I'm gonna, knowing that I missed my appointment, I'm gonna head over there as quickly as I can.
Okay. You head on over, and we will go ahead and pause here for just a minute.
Okay.
Rye, you're taking most of the day or all of the day? How long are you sitting with your tome?
As long as you will give me.
You can read for as long as you would like. So you probably finished breakfast about 9 in the morning. It's getting it towards 1 o'clock-ish now, so you've had a solid 4 hours at least. How late in the day do you want to be reading?
Basically, I will give myself enough time to have a long rest, but otherwise, reading.
Okay. So, what time do you want to wake up in the morning?
I will shoot that over to you. It depends on how things go with the guys. If they give the impression that we're actually going to be able to leave at a decent time whenever we leave. But if it sounds like we're going to be here for a little bit longer, probably first thing.
Okay. So you're going through and you're reading your tome. We'll say exactly how long you spend reading it for now. As you're at the Beggar's Banquet and reading, you're peripherally aware of what's happening around you. And you do notice there's not much activity, especially during this time of day. But Varlin and Soren, Soren's the proprietor and Varlin is his son, are actively cleaning around, and Varlin is deliberately hanging out a little closer to you, keeping an eye on what's happening and what you're doing, and it seems to be very curious about you and the whole group, but especially about anything magical.
He's got a crush.
I will. When his dad's not looking, just casually cast Dancing Lights really briefly before going back to reading.
As you do, you see his eyes light up really big, and sort of to trace them around, and then they flash over to you, and you get this big grin across his face. And then you go back to your book, and he goes back to his cleaning. And we'll go ahead and we'll jump back to Kazator and Doran.
Oh, goodness.
So where did y'all want to start your tinkering, your working?
Well, I probably would have looked for another Temple of Moradin. Or is it Moradin? I know we've had this conversation before. I always forget. Some player.
Moradin, I believe.
Moradin. So I would probably look for one of those temples and see if he wanted to go with me.
Okay.
They've got workspace in there, usually.
I
just don't know where I am. I'm lost.
Make a survival check. You're a little bit lost. See how well you find your way in the city.
Survival. Okay.
Can I help at least get into the temple district so I know how to get there?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, you can go ahead and you can aid this role by helping provide directions. And I remember it was this way, and helping to guide a little bit. So go ahead and roll with advantage, Garrett.
Okie dokie. Let me get another 20. Hey, 17.
Is that total?
Yes, because I have
Awesome.
a 0 mod.
Okay, pokey. So yeah, no, you do manage to make your way to the temple district, and it takes just a little bit of time, but your ears catch the scent of the forge, and your nose catches the scent of the forge. Your ears catch the sound of ringing metal, and you start using that to guide yourself to a little bit off the beaten path and a little bit set away from other buildings. There's a low wall that surrounds it, and as soon as you get close enough, you start feeling an intensity of the heat from the heat of the forges. And you go, and it looks like they have rigged up these bellows essentially to power these fans that help to blow the air around and provide some movement, even though it's quite warm inside. You're not going to just overheat right away.
Die.
Mm-hmm. There is another dwarf working on his own project at one of the workstations, and he sort of grunts at you as you enter. And there are another 4 or 5 workstations that are open and available for use, in addition to the main forge in the center.
Cool. Is there like somebody in charge I need to talk to that's around, or am I just gonna?
You don't see any priests in particular.
Yeah.
You don't see, the only figure you see is the dwarf who's working. You've been to enough of these, you know that the workstations themselves are generally available for use, as long as you bring your own materials. And then if you break something, replace it or repair it.
Yeah. All right. Well, then I'll go grab a table. And Quesator, you want to share a table, or you want your own?
I suppose that depends on how much space you need, how big these tables are. If I'd be happy to share one with you if there's space.
All right. Well, then here we go. We'll see if we can use it.
Yeah, there's enough space for 2 people to work comfortably at a table. 3 would be a little bit tight, but 2 of you fit fine.
Rip that off and turn that way. So yeah, just go get to work.
Can we? Never mind.
You wanna?
Let's do this.
All right, describe to me how you're doing this.
Well, I've already.
You have your thing. You have your rockets.
The missile. They're Dorn's magic missiles. Yeah.
Yep. They certainly are. So what do you start with as you're constructing this? How do you start this?
I need to. So it's like 3 pieces. It's the glass tubes that the guy made for me, and then there's like the nose piece and the tail piece. So I just need to make these little critters and fit them to the thing. And the way the tail piece works is that it just attaches to the cork. So it just there's like a corkscrew, so it just threads in, so it stays in place. And then this creature it's made out of like thinner metal, and it's got like a pointy bit on the inside. So when it compresses in, it smashes the end of the glass. So I'm making the little bits out of the thin metal that I brought with me, because I have nugence of metal, so I'm just making sheets out of that, or out of a little sheet that I have.
Okay.
And I'm like pop riveting it all together. Yeah.
All right.
Arts and crafts that are
Arts
dead.
and crafts. Make a.
So stupid. This idea is so wonderful.
I will be.
Are you proficient in sleight of hand?
No, I'm probably not.
I will be.
Okay.
No, I'm super not.
Go ahead and then just make a dexterity check for me.
You hear me, Lauren?
Say what?
I will be singing inspirationally while we work.
Oh, it was so while we work.
Like
copyright.
Like Doran's working on a rocket. Like poison bomb. It's a pretty good design too. So be proud, Garrett's mom.
Yeah.
Oh, that's good.
All right.
Yeah.
Who's
Go
this Garrett you're
ahead.
speaking of?
Do you, Garrett, what tools are you proficient with? Is this blacksmithing or is this tinkering? Because I
I
feel
don't
like there's
have-
a little bit of overlap there about who's doing what. And
I've got blacksmithing and leatherworking proficiency and the basic tools for both,
okay,
you know. So,
let me pull up a list real quick about what's actually included in the blacksmithing tools
okay.
to see if this is something that
Even could do.
And you do have a D8, Garrett, for at some point during
you
this.
do have a D8. Yes.
I'm super gonna use that. Regardless of what I roll, it's gonna get rolled anyway.
Okay. Do. Okay. So your tools include hammers, tongs, charcoal, rags, and a whetstone. Let's see. So the tools allow you to work metal, beating to alter its shape, repair damage, or work raw ingots into useful items. Let's see about tinkering tools and what that includes, to see whether what set you would actually be using. Sanathar, where'd you go? Okay. Variety of hand tools, thread, needles, a whetstone, scraps of cloth and leather, and a small pot of glue. Enables you to repair. You don't manufacture much, but you can mend, sharpen, and patch.
If there's anything I learned from my dad, it's all you need is a pair of channel locks.
Yeah, we'll go ahead and we'll say that because you're manufacturing this, we'll go ahead and we'll let you use the blacksmith's tools with a little bit of creativity.
Yay!
So you go ahead and add your proficiency
that's
bonus.
real.
Yes, yes it is. Add your proficiency bonus to the roll and roll dexterity for me. Just a dexterity check.
Okay. Okay, rolling the D8 now. All right. So let's see. It's 12. So the roll with proficiency is 15 plus the 2 from Casator's inspiration. So 17, I think.
17.
Yeah.
Awesome. So as you're working and you're putting it together, it takes a little bit of doing. You do accidentally shatter one of the glass vials, but you do manage to put together 4 prototypes that you think you could probably fill with some sort of liquid and have that explode over a target whenever you shoot that bolt. It is going to be top heavy, so the range is going to be somewhat limited. So it'll be minus 10 feet for each of the ranges to shoot it. So a normal crossbow, I believe, or a hand crossbow would be
well, I got a light
30
crossbow.
feet. Okay, let me look up the ranges real quick.
You need that poison wood crossbow.
80 to 320 on light.
Say what?
Light is 80 to 320.
All right. So you'll be able to use these vials, these crossbow bolts. It'll basically be 70 to 110. So
Or successfully.
Right. You'll be able to shoot it normally within 70 feet. And then 70 to 110 with disadvantage. I'm actually going to make that 70, 100 just to make it nice, even numbers. Because the farther it goes, the heavier it's going to get. It's not going to travel nearly as far.
Now, Lauren, just for mechanics, would this fall under the poison woods abilities?
If you have a poison that you are firing with this bolt, yeah, I'd allow it.
So if the chamber's filled with poison.
If the chamber is filled with the poison.
Neat.
That is so cool.
Neat.
Mhm. Also, if I have time to do so, I want to make a little, like, nothing fancy, but a case to, they're made of glass. Let's put them in fantasy bubble wrap. For the
We'll go
sake
ahead and
of,
we'll say that you managed to do that too.
yeah,
Jordan, Kazator.
I had a thing. Well, okay.
We'll come back to that here in just a minute. How are you working on yours?
Okay, so I guess I would take first the tank and get the kind of the nozzle and pressure mechanism with a little gasket on it working first, and probably kind of doing trial and error, assembling it, and then just filling it with water, heating it, pressurizing it, and seeing if it's spraying, and kind of testing out range and all of that. And then once I get that working, then just kind of build kind of a two-handed wooden, basically two handles with just a platform in the back. It's kind of just holding it with like some of the metal strapping, holding the tank to this little wooden under assembly, essentially lower assembly.
Okay. Because essentially what you've got is a flask with a screw on lid that you can release you can perforate and you can mess with to release a vapor from there, and then you can have it working with the spring and getting it set up. So the trigger mechanism is actually going to take the longest. I'm going to go ahead and have you also make a check with your tinkering tools. That'll be dexterity.
And this,
Man, I sing for you, but I don't know what it's going to do.
okay. Okay, this is Tinker's tools. All right. $12.
12. So you're going and you're struggling with it a little bit. It's the mechanism is not working as smoothly as you want. There's something about the spring and how the trigger mechanism is actually attaching where you can get it when you're right there with it, but trying to activate it from a little bit of a safer distance, you're struggling with a little bit. You can look over and you can see Dorn's working on his and going off with it, and you're just not having the success that you're wanting with this. So you've got the first step for it, but the trigger mechanism still needs some work.
Yeah.
You can stay later as Dorn is finishing up if you want to stick around, and I'll let you spend some more time with it to make another roll, or you can take it and work on it at a different time.
I'll stay and troubleshoot.
Okay.
Could I help him since I finished?
How would you like to help him?
So what part got stuck?
It's the trigger mechanism that he's having trouble with.
Okay, and he made it like a little valve-y thing, like a rattle can? Or how this is?
The stopper is on the inside where the pressure, once you pressurize it, it's actually holding it closed.
Yeah.
And there's it's basically like a gasket on a rod, so it can slide, but it's being held closed with pressure. And then when there's a pin that pushes it away, so it creates a gap inside the canister, and then the liquid can spray out, trying to get stream essentially. And then as I let go of the trigger, that pin comes back and the pressure closes it again. That gasket slides back into the nozzle.
So like if this is the thingy, pushes on that, it sprays the juices out.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So then, crap in a hat. Now I have to actually think. They have stuff here at they have stuff for like sharpening swords, and you'd use oil to quench things. So maybe it's that the pin's getting stuck. So trying to lube the pin so it slides better and can open and let all the stuff do.
Okay.
We're all children.
So Jordan.
I don't know.
Roll for
remachine
double
it.
entendre.
We're all children.
I'm
Jordan,
trying
go ahead
to
and
use
roll
my brain.
again, and
Leave me
roll with
alone.
advantage this time because of Dorn's assistance. So
Okay.
this is
Yeah,
the
like,
next 4
'cause the
hours or
pin-
so, this next chunk of time.
Pin's stuck. It needs to not be stuck. Just use channel locks. That'll work. I'm serious, man.
21.
Channel locks
Okay,
fix
yes,
it.
with Dorn's assistance,
Yay!
you do manage to successfully get this worked out. So it is now 9 or 10 o'clock at night. It is getting quite late. It is dark. It is starting to get cold, although the forge keeps this work area quite warm. You have your 2 prototypes of things that you have each brought that you think might work. We'll go ahead and have y'all.
Real quick, I just want to etch on the side of the canister. What did you say? Oh, the flask, the Q3000, and then I guess I'll test out to figure out kind of how many shots I can get off with one full flask and like what the range on it is.
Okay. So as you're going and you're testing it, it looks like with the contents, you can have 2 full shots in there. You can try and space it out a little bit, but that third one gets a little wobbly. So 2 solid shots, and then you can get a third, and that third shot will be at disadvantage.
Okay. And then range.
Will be, let me.
Should always be in charge of the range.
He made fantasy bug spray.
Essentially. Let's say 10 feet, and then up to 20 feet at disadvantage. So 10, 20.
Okay, cool. Got it.
All right. Anything else you 2 want to do?
I think just while I was working, I imagine at some point I might have taken a break waiting for something to cool down or whatever. And I just was sitting there looking at my work and thinking about the stuff that happened yesterday and the whole thing with her trying to kill herself and all that, and just like how horrible and awful all of the things happening lately are. And just saying a little prayer to Morden, like, I don't talk to you much, but I think we need help, and then I just go back to work.
Okay. As you're finishing up, the other dwarf who's been working in here has finished his project, and you've been so focused on your project, it hasn't really crossed your radar that, wait, this guy's been sticking around until you're done and you're packing stuff up, and he comes over. It's just mighty interesting work you're doing.
Aye, thank you.
And he looks at the mark of your family that I assume you put into everything you make.
Doofus Slim.
Right. The symbol here.
I drew it somewhere. Yeah. It's this creature. This thing.
Mm-hmm.
That's the thing.
It's some sort of familiar.
Have you heard of the Runheim family?
Runheim.
Aye.
No, never heard of that family name. No, but that mark looks almost. Well, no, you wouldn't. Do you do any rune smithing?
I've tried some things out, but I've been figuring how to mark some runes on things and put a wee bit of magic in it, but nothing too exciting. Not yet, anyway.
Right. The marks here. I got something for you. Let's see if you can make use of it, maybe. And he goes, and he disappears for a couple of minutes.
Magic.
And he comes back, and he brings back this piece of paper. And he's like, this is a rubric. It's a fairly basic one. You can use it to inscribe various markings onto ammunition or arms or armor. This particular one is for the armor. And he hands it over to you, and you look at it, and right now it's mostly just gibberish. And he says, I've lost the touch. My family used to be able to use these and not enchant, it's different than enchanting, but to inscribe these onto various things. And apparently we learned from the giants up the way, if you believe it. Let's see if you can get use out of it. So you have an arcane rubric for an unknown rune at this time.
I'm a willing test subject.
For science.
Is that right, Lawrence, for armor?
This particular one is.
I wonder if you could sew it into a cloak.
Does a cloak count as armor?
If you have a very good imagination.
If it's a cloak of protection, I mean, come on.
We'll have that discussion at another time.
I'm not a runesmith.
No, you're not a runesmith, but someone else might be soon.
Don't ruin my dream.
Oh, snippy snap. I'm quite grateful for this. Thank you very much. What was your name, sir?
Oh, you're quite welcome. My name, as the DM has to look it up, my name's Aiden.
Like
I-D-E-N.
I-D-E-N. Wow, last name Versio?
That's a reference that just whooshed.
Yay, I'm the only one. Okay.
That is okay. We all have our own specialties where we deep dive.
The Star Wars thing. Anyway, don't worry about it. Well, thank you very much, Miss Aiden. I'm Doran Runheim, and I'm quite grateful. Thank you, sir.
He sticks his arm out. Pleasure to meet you. And he grasps your hand and gives it a hearty shake.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate this very much. Maybe we have time later on another night. Maybe we can talk some more shop. I'm
here on most nights. You give that a shot and you tell me if it works for you. I might be able to dig up another one from the old up in the attic, you know.
I would appreciate that greatly. I'll let you know how it goes.
Very well. Now it's getting late and I'm going to be getting back home. But pleasure to meet you, Doran.
Aye, thank you. Pleasure to meet you too. We need to get going. Come on, lad. Get on. Drag case store. Out. Wave goodbye.
All right. So we go ahead and, as it is quite late, we will go ahead and jump back to Sulyex, who's at the Temple of Bahamut much earlier in the day.
Right.
I am excited.
So after getting there,
travel.
I would like to go check it on. I found his name earlier. I think I found his name. It was the priest. Raxley. Was that his name? Did I find the right name?
Raxley.
Yes. I want to go check up on him. See how his war preparations are going.
You go in. You find the Temple of Bahamut, and it is completely deserted.
Glorious. Well, I'm gonna go just do a thorough check for anything, either sacred relics or people, anything that might have been left behind. See what's there.
Make an investigation check.
Oh no. 15.
15. All right.
Thank
You go and you're looking through the temple, and the temple grounds themselves are clean, just slightly dusty, as though it's been a couple of days since anybody's actually been in here. You're not seeing a whole lot of evidence of movement. The art and the tapestries and the relic that is usually the heart of each temple, something to some relic of a great hero or of a significant piece of history that's usually a reminder of the might of Bahamut and the power that he has, and the sort of a reminder to partner strength with compassion. That's sort of at the heart of the teachings of the church. All of that's gone. Anything that seems valuable is just taken. The really heavy things that aren't easily movable, the pews, the pieces of furniture, the altar at the front of the cathedral area, that's all there. But anything that could be picked up and carried that seemed even the slightest bit valuable is just gone.
Well, very well. I'll remember that name. Then yeah, I'll head back to the shop, or the tavern, and I will wait for Quesator to return.
Okay. One thing you did notice on your way out is there is one small book, it's sort of a children's primer, like the basic lessons that are taught. It seems to have been left. You look at it, you remember having one very like it when you were young, when you were still in training.
I'll pick it up and put it in the bag.
Okay. So you've got that, you take it with you. And then you head back to the shop.
Might it be a teen Bible of some sort?
Extreme teen Bible.
Extreme. I don't know.
But might it be, perhaps have extreme in it?
It's, I mean, the doctrine contained within is extremely interesting, I am sure. You can call it whatever you would like in your inventory.
I'm putting Teen Bahamut Bible.
Go for it. You've got your Teen Bahamut Bible.
Oh, man. D&D's a good game.
And I will wait for Quesator.
Dream Dragonling Bible.
Yep. Quesator is occupied late into the night. Where are you waiting for him?
The tavern area, whatever.
Okay. So by about dinner time, most of y'all have made it back. Rye is still sitting there with her book. Val has come back at this point, or is there anything else Val wanted to do?
Val went back to the temple.
Right,
of
Val went to the Temple of Sani. Let's go ahead and jump there.
No crap.
All right.
I got myself
Let's
into
see,
this. I
let's
understand.
see.
Not ready.
That's
This will go well, isn't it?
I even texted Jonathan. Like, dude.
Oh, you did, huh? How did that go?
He texted me back. I may have killed him.
I told you I could hear him screaming in the distance.
I'm pretty sure his heart stopped.
That's another thing.
Was out there losing his mind.
Handle halberd
All right.
making.
So you head into the Temple of Sani. There is, it's mostly quiet. It seems fairly deserted, especially in the afternoon, where, Sani is typically associated with the moon and with the night, and the middle of the day is not the most active part of her worship. But there's one figure in there, a very short figure, a little red-headed gnome, hair's cut short, fairly plump figure, dark green dressed, covered with a sort of very pristine white apron. He's just sitting in the chair, facing the front of the sort of teaching area, and just quiet.
As I walk in, he's facing away from me, you said?
She is, yes.
Oh, she is? Okay. I'll very quickly switch my garments back to that of a cleric of Sani.
Okay. As you go ahead and you switch, is that do you have a particular word? What's the
Cora
You
was
know what I
the
mean.
activation word.
Cora was?
Yes.
So you go ahead and you say that as you walk in, and it gets her attention. She turns and she looks at you and she's like, "Oh, welcome." And then she goes back to her contemplation.
Pardon me, I don't mean to disturb you. But I am seeking divine counsel.
Oh, well, apparently that's going around. I had a meeting this morning. I was supposed to have a meeting this morning. The person I'm supposed to meet is a little bit late. Apparently so many people just need information. I mean,
I apologize.
Sanine, bless us. There's this dearth of information going around. So many people want guidance. Can I help you?
Oh, great! Now I have guilt. I must apologize. You were called in for a consultation for this morning, weren't you?
Oh, I was. Yes. How did you know? Oh, that's so interesting. The Sanine herself must have led you here.
I may have been the one that you were called for. Unfortunately, my group and I were attacked yesterday.
Oh no, that's just awful. Are you all right?
It really was. We thankfully managed to survive and without any losses, although our injuries did take some time to mend.
Oh, I do see that. I mean, you've got such a nasty scar there. Are you all right?
It's been a trying day, I will say that. And unfortunately, it looks like things are only going to become more so over the next few days. And I was hoping to gain guidance from Our Lady, albeit I know it's daytime now, which is not our best time to reach out to her.
It does make it more difficult. It's true, but I'm sure she'll listen to you. I mean,
well, she might be a tad upset with me at the moment, which is why I was seeking help with contacting her.
Certainly. All right then. I can. Well, I will do what I can for sure. And she sort of thinks for a moment. You say she might be upset with you. Is there anything I can do? I can intercede for you? What's happened? Just explain to me.
So I'm going to sit down next to her. And for the sake of brevity, because this could take forever if I really wanted it to, I'm going to basically spill gut and explain my entire situation of the bond, the way our people work, the bond from Cora, his tie to the Traveler, all the crap that we're about to go through, and explain my philosophy that having one God on your side is great, having two is even better, but having three could be the holy trifecta we're looking for. And since my soul is bound to Tana, I already have a connection, and I somehow garnered his interest. But making it very plain that my loyalty is to Sayanine, and that I'm basically seeking, if I pursue this, will I lose Sayanine's blessing, or is she willing to share me?
All right. I can see how you've got quite a difficult decision. Oh well. I suppose we can ask. We can see what she says. I can augur for you. She may answer me answer you indirectly. Let me get my cards, and we'll get it set up, and we'll see what she says, shall we? Let's do that.
Yes, thank you. I really appreciate it.
Oh, it's my pleasure. Oh, this is
not going to end well for me.
That's
go
thinking
ahead.
fun.
Oh, Val's going to be fine. John's going to punch me when he gets home.
Right. I want you. She takes a small deck of cards out of a little pouch on her side, and she starts shuffling them together face down. She says, "All right, I want you to think very hard about what you need. Distill it down to one question, one thing we can ask her, one thing that will help to guide your next step." Now, this can be any question. This can be as personal to you or as vague. I don't need to know exactly what you mean, but she does. So take it. What's your question? And as you start thinking and meditating and preparing your question, the room gets a little bit cooler and a little bit darker. And at the same time, the colors seem to get just a little bit brighter. And what's your question?
Will pursuing the bond with the traveler cut off my blessing of Sandy, or cut off my connection. Sorry, that's the word I was looking for. Connection with Sandy.
Right. As you ask, the gnome is shuffling the cards, and one card falls out of her hand and falls to the ground. She's like, oh, I didn't mean to do that. Oh, it just slipped right out. And you can see the card sort of drifts and then falls. And it falls face up. And you see on this card, there is an angelic figure. This winged woman is standing with 1 foot in water and 1 foot on grass. And it seems like she's pouring liquid from one receptacle into another. And as you're watching, it seems almost like the stars in the sky have a gentle moving cloud across them, and the same breeze seems to sway the grass that she's standing on. There's slight ripples in the water. And it's eerie because you can see the card, and it's just a painted card, but it seems to be moving at the same time. She's like, oh, well, this is interesting. You might, well, usually what this card means is to test new waters before jumping into a deep end. Don't lean towards an extreme, but to find a middle road, to compromise, maybe to move forward rather than trying to go from one end of the spectrum straight to the other. Look at your priorities, re-examine yourself, and maybe you'll find a greater meaning or purpose there. I'm sorry, I don't know what else to say. Does that help though? Does that answer your question?
As vaguely as I've come to expect from Our Lady.
She's not very fond of straight answers, is she?
No, I was, but it is a guidance. I very much appreciate your help.
Oh, you're very welcome. I don't often get to do this. It's, well, not many around here seem to follow her ways. They like the more direct answer. And the Lady Arathis and the Lady Ioun and Lord Paelor, they're all much more powerful here. Their followers are much more numerous, and their influence is much more strongly felt. But Our Lady, well, she's answered you in her own way. I could ask again and see if she has another answer.
No, I've learned the hard way that asking her the same question in another way just gets you conked on the head by a squirrel or something.
Oh, you met a ratatosk?
Oh, what?
A ratatosk. Oh, they're so cute. I've heard I haven't actually seen one, but I've heard stories and I've studied, and they're adorable. I love them so much. But they're like these squirrels. They're celestial messengers.
Yeah,
They're used to convey messages.
Do they have big pointy ears?
They do, with the tufts of fur. They're just adorable, and I love them.
Oh, cuteness overload over here. Yes, so she had one throw a nut at my head.
Oh, do you still have it? I mean, there must be a message there. She speaks in signs and riddles. Do you still have it?
I'll reach into my pouch and pull out the little acorn thing.
Oh, it's fascinating. And as you've got it pulled out and you've got it looked over, there's a small, like the shell is normally pristine, right? But there's a small gap where things seem to have dried and shrunk a little bit. And as you're looking over the acorn, make an investigation check for me.
Okay, that's not bad. 18 plus 3 is 21.
21. Oh, look there. Look, can you see? And as you're looking, you can see where the top of the acorn, the part that comes and is over it, the hood sort of is loose, and you can twist it and you can break it off, and you can see into the acorn itself, into the heart of the seed, and you see you could twist it off so easily. It just started falling apart in your hands almost, because the inside, even though the outside was pristine and beautiful, the inside was dark and starting to rot. And you can see it's desiccated now and it's dried. And even though it looks good on the outside, there's something about inside the acorn, inside the seed itself, that is dead.
That can't be a good sign. I'll look at the acorn, then I'll kind of look up at her. That doesn't seem very promising.
No, it doesn't. That seems quite scary. That's an ill omen for sure. Oh, but look, figuring this out is so exciting. Oh my goodness. Her touch is so clearly on you. Can't you see it? Oh, Our Lady, she has her hand on you for sure. Oh, do you have any other questions? Anything else we might could do?
How? Okay, I do have one more question.
Oh, absolutely.
Oh gosh, I'm trying to remember her name. Crap. Okay, we'll go about this a different way. Little circumlocution over here. Valdera, right? Did I pronounce that right? Shoot. Valdera. Sorry. We may be going there soon. Would you mind asking her if that journey will yield the fruits that we seek?
She starts shuffling through her cards again, and she
For you, Casator.
She frowns a little bit, and there's this. The cards are almost sticking together, where before it had been very clean and crisp and very clear, as her fingers were almost dancing over the cards and shuffling and moving them and preparing them. It's like, interesting. Okay. And then she stops for a moment. And then she takes the top card of the stack and flips it over. And you see on this card, there is a blue-skinned woman dancing in the center of a grassy field. Long hair and skirts are flung away from her body as she's whirling in place. And you can see, again, this sort of stillness and motion both at once existing in this card. There's a joyful smile lighting up her whole face. A wreath of green vines and flowers rests on her head. It's like, oh, well, this is interesting. This card usually speaks of how everything is profoundly linked with all other things. And we dance and sway to the flow of life, and it's all one rhythm. And not only do you hear this rhythm, but you participate in it, and you follow the dips and the rises, the joys and the sorrows, you dance. And it seems like all the efforts that you've been putting in place will pay off. You've learned something, you've reached a certain point, and you've built the resilience to withstand challenges that may lie ahead. This is all going to make sense when you realize that everything is connected.
Anybody else want to start singing Circle of Life at the moment? Very well. Thank you so much for your help. You truly have been a blessing from the Lady of the Moon.
I'm so glad to be of assistance. Well, this is the most excitement I've had in a long time. I'm so thankful you came.
Have you, okay, knowing where I'm at, because I do have the map, have you ever been to, I lost the name and I was hoping it was on here. Where the Druid tribe is, where we left Audier.
Longview.
Longview. Oh, okay, there it is. Have you ever been to Longview?
No, I'm from Port Linen, just a short way south of here.
If you ever get a chance, make your way there and tell them that Val sent you. You might find quite a few members of their tribe that might be interested in your specialties.
Oh, well, that's very exciting. Thank you. That's quite a compliment. My family's here though. I don't travel often.
That's quite all right. Like I said, if you ever find your way there, a friend of mine named Audier makes her home there. And
Audier.
there's
Subtitles keep changing.
I know.
Just noticed that.
But there's a tribe of Oven Druids there.
Our Lady does care for them.
Very much so, and they respect her. And I'm sure there are many there that either follow her directly or respect her ways that would love to speak to you.
Oh, well, I will certainly keep that in mind. Oh, it was so nice to be useful.
I'm glad I could help you with that.
Is there anything else I can do for you? Oh, I didn't even introduce myself. I'm so sorry.
I was just about to ask your name.
I'm Brina. I'm Brina Garrick, and it's a pleasure to meet you.
It's very, very much my pleasure to meet you. As I said, my name is Val. And
Val. She sticks her hand up.
No.
It's nice to meet you.
I hope very much to see you again.
Oh, I hope so. This is the most exciting thing that's happened in a long time. Her hand is so clearly on you. I mean, the answers were so clear. It's amazing. Is there a way, can I pray for you? Can I don't know. I mean, her favor's on you. Maybe you could bless me. I mean, that'd be exciting too.
I very much appreciate it, and I'll put my hand on her shoulder, or kneel down and put my hand on her shoulder, and may her blessings be on you. And I'll actually pull out one of the Saiyan symbols that I made for not communion. What was the what was the name of that spell? Divination. And I'll hand it to her. And these were made for divining with and communing with Our Lady. So I hope these will benefit you in some way.
Well, thank you. She reaches up and that's very kind of you. I hope as you go along your way that she continues to keep her hand on you and that you feel her presence. Just remember, she's not straightforward. She speaks in mystery and an omen, and don't get discouraged. You can always come back, and I can always do another reading for you if you need
I appreciate
guidance
that.
again.
Unfortunately, we'll be leaving here soon, but if I make my way through here again, I will definitely come see you.
Please do. I would love to hear more of your adventures, and I do hope everything works out and that your path is made clear. I won't keep you. I know you must be going on your way, but do have good luck.
Thank you very much. And I'll stand up and bow to her and make my way out.
Right, you go ahead and you head on out and you head back to the Beggar's Banquet, or is there anything else you wanted to do?
That's fun.
Dang. To do it or not to do it.
That's up to you.
I know. I will. As I stand in the fixing to walk out the door, I'll pull out the sword and I'll pull out the symbol of the traveler that I had and the symbol of Sayanine, and I'll wrap those one on each side of the hilt. And I'll slide it back into its little scabbard. And for now, I will head back to the Beggar's Banquet.
All right. You go ahead and you head back to the Beggar's Banquet.
In my waiting, I will also have Halberd with me and ask him to wait with me for Quesator.
Okay.
Albert been working on poison, eye irritant stuff.
That is a question. Did you hear, Jordan? Has Halberd been working on poisons?
We can go ahead and say yes. That's what he spent his day doing. I feel like that's something that he would enjoy. Do you have his character sheet?
Yes.
Okay. Is he has a poisoner's kit, right?
Yeah, and he's proficient in poisoners. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Everything's fine.
Go ahead and let's see. Would this be intelligence or would this be dexterity?
Probably dexterity if you're mixing chemicals.
This is true.
I say that because I've been mixing resins and stuff, and I'm me and Big Dumb. But me and know how stir.
You also do have the intelligence to know what to mix, so you could do
That's
both.
true.
Well, that's where the proficiency would come in.
Oh, that's true.
The
That's
proficiency would. He's proficient in resin, but he has the steady hand to pour it.
We'll go ahead and we'll say
Steady as rock. This is my shooting game.
dexterity. So have him roll dexterity with his proficiency with the poisoner's kit.
Dexterity, proficiency, poisoner's kit.
Did you?
That's funny.
Halberd is so good at poisons. That's a total of 27.
Ooh,
Natural
okay. So yes, between the poisons that he'd already had and the some of the compounds that he'd kept on his kit and received from Malik back at in Farendale, and then with the things that he'd just received, he was able to distill a toxin specifically designed to cause eye irritation that will cause blindness if not successfully resisted.
Thank you, Carolyn, for the dice. Oh, yes. Perfect. Well, while we are waiting, I don't actually have anything. I was just waiting.
All right. So it's between 10 and 11 by the time Dorn and Kazator come back. Rye, at this point, you would have been reading for 12 hours.
It might actually be shorter than that, because probably about 9 o'clock, I will have, if Sullyx and the rest of them are there, knocked on the table and be like, I'm sorry, gentlemen, I cannot delay any longer. I will be going to bed, and then in the morning, leaving first thing. But I do wish you well, and I expect I shall probably see you again in the future.
Well, that's a good chance we'll be leaving in the morning as well. So, we may see you then.
Yes.
All right, so Rye said you got 10 hours in your book, and you are prepared with 8 hours of rest to head out bright and early at 5 a.m.
Okay.
The rest of y'all, you get into the inn, the Beggar's Banquet. You return, you reunite. Is there anything else you want to go over before we get to your long rest?
Can I retcon one thing real quick?
What's that?
So when I broke one of the glass tubey things, can I have collected up all the pieces of the glass and like kept them and brought them with me? Cool. Because I want that for a reason.
So you do have a small pouch of glass shards.
Perfect.
Awesome. So you get back to the Beggar's Banquet. Anything else to do before bed?
Perfect.
Together, huh?
I was waiting for you to come in.
Okay, go ahead.
Oh, Kessler, how was your crafting session today?
I believe it was successful overall. Doran was able to make several bolts for his crossbow.
I open the case and show him the stinky missiles, the future stinky missiles.
Filled with Halberd's poisons.
Yes.
And my projectile tank seems to be functioning well also.
You said this would be made out. Yours is focused around a vapor or something along that, yes?
Doran's is more of a vapor, I believe, Doran. Yes, when it explodes, it becomes a cloud. Is that correct, Doran?
No, Doran's is set up to have a liquid that is fired at one target.
Yes.
So when basically it'll splash over a single target once it's hit.
So yeah, there's no vapor. His break and splash in a contained area, and mine is a jet stream fired.
Yep.
Well, I'm not sure what it would do. However, I did manage to pick up, and I will pull out the 2 doses of shrooms that I bought. I'm not fully familiar with the plants or what they do, but I figure with whatever projectile you happen to make and with Halberd, we might be able to distill this in some type of liquid. I have no idea what it would do, but
even as simply as putting them in the tank and letting them soak until we get to the beholder in the poison, in the solution, whatever you want to call it.
This is 2 doses of possibly some type of hallucinogenic something.
Can I look at these and make like a medicine check or nature check or whatever you deem?
Sure, go ahead and make a nature check.
Before we possibly ruin the poison or whatever.
It'll only make it better.
You just happen to neutralize each other. Okay.
Yeah, right?
You
Turns
said
it into delicious lemonade somehow. No, wait, it turns it into like Monster Energy drink. That's what happened.
Actually, is Halberd proficient in his survival? How is he at nature? Oh no.
Dirty 20.
Dirty 20, very nice. So you do recognize that these are dried fungal caps. These are mushrooms that are typically grown underground in various caves. They require moisture to grow. Once they're dried, they do take on interesting effects. Various varieties will have various effects. This is not a particular variety that you're familiar with. However, something about it catches your eye and you realize, oh wait, there's something magical about these. There's an arcane essence to these. You don't know what they do.
There's an arcane essence. I cast Identify.
All right, you go ahead. You cast Identify. These are Underdark mushrooms.
Do we grow tall?
There is a random chance of something happening to you. The magic contained within is caused by a sorcerer's power going haywire at some point in history, and these shrooms have just spread across the realms. Some of these shrooms retain that arcane essence and are capable of transmitting a shred of that power to whoever imbibes.
Are these wild magic shrooms?
These are wild magic shrooms.
This is amazing.
Like a permanent imbuement of that power?
No, it is a one and done. So basically, for statting these up, you take a dose of the shrooms, or you make a tea that you drink, and that's also an alternative, or perhaps a potion that you could make. I'll leave y'all to be creative with that. And when this is imbibed or however it's used, you roll on the wild magic surge table to see what effect happens.
Oh my god.
Wow. Okay.
Do we
Like
want
you
to use
do.
that on him?
So let's not put these in the poison, but perhaps this might be something
But I kind of want to put them in the poison.
in our days of travel, potentially brew something up and a couple of us could take before going to the beholder, or at least having on hand so we could just take a shot real quick. Something.
But I want to put it in the poison. I want to.
Please give it to the dwarf.
I don't know that we
See
want
the
to
dwarf do
imbue.
magic.
I don't know that we want to imbue the beholder with random powers. I think that might be counter to
But
our.
they could be negative powers as well. Yes.
Don't know. I
Oh
don't.
yeah, it could be anything.
I'm very
Gosh, this
not
is amazing.
educated.
As we travel these next 3 days, we should do more research on these and see
That's
what we can figure out.
Perhaps we could even keep these in the back of our mind since they seem to be something rare.
They're in the bag.
As a gift to the beholder, at worst. I mean, if it's going to keep us from fighting him, and that's our goal, you know. I hate to give them up, but that's a good question.
I will put these
Blue
in the bag
important.
and leave them
Yeah, like-
here for future whatever we decide to choose.
Okay.
And then we are leaving in the morning, yes?
Yes.
Aye.
I wonder if the beholder is the thing on the mind right now, but as I seem to keep encountering more information about my sister, and we ponder possibly heading to Vondera at some point, possibly after Dragon Throne. This portion of the layer Kolya that I have received is supposed to contain some information on Vondera. I don't know if it contains specific information on possibly Red Rock or the cave or the guardian of the book or the key, the binding spell. Would it perhaps be beneficial for all of us to know what it says so that we can all be thinking about its verses and what they could mean? Because this deserves to be read out loud. I'm just I've only read like little snippets as we've been playing, but
Speaking of
go ahead.
Vondera, I visited the Temple of Sanin and was able to, with some help, commune with the goddess regarding our trip to Vondera. And the the question asked was would Von der have what we sought, essentially? And the answer that I got was that it was all connected, that our efforts were not in vain, and that everything was tied together. So I do believe after we are able to retrieve these books and make our way to the Sanctum, that Von der does need to be our next stop.
All right.
I believe we're on the right track for that.
I'm all for it.
In that case, I believe we should get a good night's sleep because we have 3 days of journey ahead of us and
Yes.
whatever lies at the end of it.
Shall I leave us with a bedtime story?
Please leave us with a bedtime story.
Go ahead and tell the bedtime story, and this is what we'll end on.
It's not super short, but it, like I said, it deserves to be read. And
It's a bit long. I'm sorry.
there's a second part, hopefully coming before we leave this world. But okay, the Lay of Colia. Listen close, and you will hear a tale of magic from far and near. A halfling woman, young and bright, was cast adrift as into night. Her home was lost, a mighty change came under her, Colia by name. Though path through wood and cave did roam, under bough and over foam, don't do that, so journeyed to reclaim her home. She journeyed to reclaim her home. Her gaze fell bright with eyes of green, they pierced through truth, her vision keen. Her auburn locks did catch the light, and burn with crimson shades so bright, so too within a fire lit, a temper burned and sparked and spit. Her feet as light as birds on wing, a dance as merry as laughing spring, her joy did share and laughter bring. 'Twas her dancing led astray into darkness out of day, that brought her to a wandering path, and from hearth and home and bath, and standing stone and hidden road, and to another world had flowed. That too. And so did Colia travel far, to Vandera strange and bizarre, her home now under distant star. Confused and lost, sore and heartsick, she a path to choose, a way to pick, to try to find the knowledge dear of hope and home and vision clear. Her home now lost, a distant realm, the task ahead did overwhelm, for to find a friendly face in such a strange and alien place would be a blessing and a grace. Such grace indeed did gods bestow to rumor bring and hope to grow. For tale was brought from far-off land of similar travels told firsthand. Accounts of those who stride the plains from world to world whose gift remains, an artifact of might and power that helped Colia in her hour, contained within a distant tower. A map she made to plot her way through danger in her path did lay, though danger. To find the tower the road led north, and on her own she ventured forth. Though on her own she did not linger, and soon was joined by a friendly singer. Sweet Luann, Colia's lot, and moved by pity, joined the plot, a rightful home the girl allot. Luann held from elven lands, and gaily, bravely lent her hands, whose graceful fingers crafted sounds to calm the guards and distant hounds, and distract hounds. For strangers were not welcome there, where elven king did hold his lair. But Luann, elven friend was she, and guided Colia beyond the tree and through the wood to remain free. But elven king was mighty wroth, and he and Luann had pledged their troth, and sent his forces to pursue his would-be bride and Colia through. His forest realm and with dangers all, awoken against large and small, piercing, slashing, fang and claw, with mighty creatures, wing and paw, attacking alongside toothy maw. Awoken also with his call, half-elf Phelan, wild and tall, who calls this forest as his home, and Cincy, his companion gnome. As journey north continued as journey north continued, that's what I just read. As journey north continued for, the two now multiplied to 4. But Phelan fair in face and wit, and Cincy dark as though moonlit, brought tidings sadly to transmit. To northern roads were dark ahead, and blighted lands which filled with dread all those who made their dwelling there. A sickness killed without a care, or crippled limbs and hands and craft. Physicians searched for curing draught. And valleys low and mountains high, on peaks that reach up to the sky, but never did their goal descry. But clever Cincy, cunning and odd, had found the favor of a god, and knew the leaf and weed that might heal the land and cure the blight. In cliffs of crimson, carmine caves, distinguished midst ancient tombs and graves, the mossy growth to save the world, and their hands unfurled as Luan's song echoed and whirled. At which point Casator is pointing out what did it say? Cliffs of crimson carmine caves, and it's near Red Rock in a cave in the mountain. So, yeah. As Phelan guarded against undead foe, and Cincy's visions scried paths to go, and Luan's tunes bolstered their hearts, Colia carried the healing parts from Red Rock caves. Before emerged to end the dread, the blight to purge. The healing came to Cincy's hands, and from the gnome spread to the lands to heal and restore all noble clans. With all due thanks, the four proceed. With all due thanks, the four proceed on journey north with hastened speed. The coldest soon would come to freeze and then to numb. The hopes of Colia burning bright, winter's power of frigid might halt the journey in its tracks, if not for the filial packs. Each in the party then enacts. Dark Cincy swears with hand on heart that Colia will for home depart, but by mace and knife and all he has, he swears this deed shall come to pass. By godly favor, power, and light, and fearlessly to pass through might, his friend he will deliver home, no more to wander or to roam. He swears to guide her through the gloam. Fair Phelan swears with heart of gold that Colia will her home behold. By word and bond she'll see it through. There's no act he will not do. By ashen bow and silvered sword, by binding tie of crimson cord, Phelan swears by all held dear, and pledges faith, his heart sincere. Bright Colia will her home adhere. Warm Luan swears the oath of green. Sweet nature makes her oath true seen. By song and story, bond and word, by crafted air and melody heard. By music's power and bardic might, for home and freedom she will fight. From deep within her heart she swears, her heart upon her sleeve she wears, and through Colia's despair she tears. Now Colia's eyes have filled with tears, not only are assuaged her fears, but given oaths are binding ties, and new sworn family fills her eyes. Beloved friends and magic thrum, brothers, sisters have become. Now even when a world apart, when Colia will this land depart, will unity be in each heart. The oaths now sworn, the path ahead, no longer dark and filled with dread. Through night and day they forge along, their strength provided by Luan's song. Her energizing music plays to speed the nights and ease the days. With Phelan up ahead to guide, and Cincy striding by her side, the halfling fills with hope inside. Part 1.
Wow.
So
I'm a geek and love iambic pentameter. So
Okay, straight up.
yeah, super excited to put way too much thought and draw way too much meaning out of this and wait for part 2.
Have fun. I left Easter eggs in there deliberately.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
look over it, have fun with it, evaluate it to your heart's desire.
So many conspiracy theories are going to come out. It's going to be great.
Oh, man.
And
That's
on
good.
that note, we will go ahead and end the session. So, thank you, everybody, for joining us. Thank you for coming with us on this adventure. We hope to see you in next week as we continue forward. This is going to be fun. All right.
As we finally head towards the beholder.
Oh, it's taken a while.
It's taken a
been
long
a little
while,
bit.
but we're
But we'll
going.
get there.
We're going now, complete with shrooms and Shorn's gassy missile.
Oh, yes. We're going to have fun. So we'll see y'all next week. Thank you for coming along. Be safe out there. Stay healthy. Care about each other. Really, that's all we ask. Just be careful
Choose
with your
life,
words, with your actions. Choose life, don't die. Thank you, Garrett. Yes. All of that. So thanks again. We'll see y'all next week. Bye.
Bye.